Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the show today. Very happy to have you here. Hopefully everybody had themselves a fine weekend. Mine was super quiet. I just kind of chilled at home and I ate pecans. Not pecans, excuse me.
Pecan.
Pistachio, the other peanuts.
Oh, no,
Yeah, I'm
not
sorry.
pistachios of
I
all
I
things.
that's been sitting in my head for about 28 seconds and I couldn't resist it.
There's a lot of how many peanuts is there? There's peanuts, of
Which aren't
course,
even nuts, but
correct.
Then we have
Uh,
pistachios, pecans,
yeah. Is that it? Is
planters,
it just
which
those?
doesn't,
Oh, that's a
count.
brand.
Yeah. No,
Um,
no, my favorite are Hazel and Brazil, though.
Big fan of the Brazilian nuts, are you?
Love them. They're awfully expensive. Those Brazilians are dicks.
They are. They're real dirty. Them Brazilians, real
Yeah,
corrupt.
yeah. Did you see what does the UN call its like boss? What's its boss called?
Oh, I can't remember.
Like Archbishop Bishop
Well,
of
they're
accounting and world domination, something like that.
the real boss is called something something Rothschild. But go on.
Yeah, well, yeah, but they got. I think he's Brazilian, little Brazilian guy. Boy, he's really out there mugging for fame, isn't he? You
Oh
see
yeah,
him? Oh boy, look at me! Look at me! We're gonna save the Palestinians from the evil Jew, sir. You look like a Jew, sir,
it probably is one.
sir. Um, the sad thing about all of this is I can't go to my classic standard Mel Brooks,
Uh-oh.
right? Because I love to make the Jew joke. It's funny, right?
It
I'm always making some kind of Jew joke. I love Mel Brooks, right? But I can't now because now it actually has meaning. God damn it, bastard Muslims. Whatever.
is.
Chester is Jewish. Joshua says, sure, why not?
I can believe it.
Technically, if you want to get into the big grand argument of it, all you white peoples are Danites. So we
Listen
are
to
the
this guy.
we are the descendants of the Tuatha De Danann, are we not?
Yeah.
So therefore,
Yeah.
we are the children of Dan.
But but
But
Chester,
but
as you know,
mhm.
Jews are not white.
Uh, mm.
That's not me making that rule. That's them. They got whole songs about it that they sing in like in
Yeah,
Israel
no,
in like their
they're
schools
they're quite
about how
upset
they're
to be
not
thrown
white.
in that group. But of course, we're
Yeah.
talking about the Khazars, right? And that's spelt with a
Yeah.
Kha. Just so you know, that old whole word Khan, like Genghis Khan. A lot of people are like, oh, it's a Mongolian. No, it's a Turkic word. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
So
cons out there.
so sad. Uh, there are actually there are many Khans in Turkey. Go take a look. You'll find many young
And
boys with the name.
in my estimation, this might be a hot take, the greatest Star Trek villain of all time.
Oh
Old
God.
Khan.
Yeah, but that's
Khan?
that's but as played by a Spaniard.
Well, yeah, of course, yes.
Hmm.
We not this. Listen, I don't have any thing against Benedict Cumberbatch, but that wasn't Khan. Whatever he was playing wasn't Khan. What my
No,
boy Ricardo Montalban was doing was Khan.
that was badass. There's so many good things in that movie. It's not just the stellar performance from everybody involved. It's
Yeah,
also just the music composition, the pacing. It's such a good movie, dude.
yep. It
Such an
is. It
excellent
is.
flick.
It's the best Star Trek. It just is.
It
I
is.
know some
Yeah.
people like to argue, but no. On a fundamental level,
No,
like
it
as a
is.
movie,
Yeah.
it is. It
Yeah.
just is.
It is. Yeah.
And it's the only or one of the only Star Trek movies where even though they cheapen it out in the next movie, but they did set it up, so whatever. The ending with the death of Spock is
Mm.
just I
Oh,
don't
it's
care who you
spectacular.
are. If
Yeah.
you like drama even, you don't even have to like Star Trek, just
Hmm.
drama.
Hmm.
That's gonna get you. That's
It
gonna
is.
get you a little bit because that's rough.
It is rough, but it's perfect though. It's just right.
Hmm.
I wouldn't change a thing. But then again, the new people who are much smarter than anybody before them,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
literally flip the script on you. Ha ha!
yeah.
Expectations and all. We killed Kirk, and we brought him
They
back with Tribble
immediately
blood. Do you remember
immediately
Tribbles? Do
stick it
you
out.
remember? Do you remember? fucking
Now
Abrams.
that could have maybe worked if they wouldn't have pussed out. If he would have just stayed dead for the rest of that movie, and then they did some nonsense to bring him back in the next movie, whatever, fine. They could have pulled it off,
Yeah.
maybe, but they didn't because they don't have those kind of stones to kill Kirk. They don't have them.
Well, I mean, you know what I mean, though. It's just the inane Hollywood nonsense. Uh,
Yeah,
but here's the
it's a
thing.
shame.
Now, you brought up a good point, and since we're on it, I might as well just mention it. So we know that the people who call themselves Ashkenazi, which are European Jews, right?
Correct.
They're Khazars coming out of what we would call Ukraine, Russia area today. A very powerful empire from the first millennium, and they've been and their king converted them over for various reasons, mostly economic, to Judaism, right? And but the thing is, they've been practicing Jews for what over 1,200 years, right? Yiddish, which is a language I've used in the line today, most people consider to be Jewish. It's not. It's not Hebrew. It's Yiddish.
No.
It's Khazar language. It's a Yiddish
I
language.
mean, it even sounds Slavic
It
when they
does,
talk.
yeah.
Yeah,
But from most modern people's point of view, that's Jewish, right? That's Hebrew,
yeah,
right?
and it's not.
It's not. I trust me. I know. Yeah. But the thing is, you see this being brought up a lot. Of course, all the Muslims mention this, particularly the governments, in regards to why the Zionists, these Ashkenazi Jews, these European Jews, have no legitimacy. Now, I don't know about that. I mean, all that's true, but if your culture has been doing something for over 1,000 years, I kind
Yeah,
of think it's your culture now.
yeah.
You know
Well,
what
you
I
also
mean?
kind of can't play that card if you unless you are from like I don't know Central Africa or Mesoamerica, and that's the only place your people have ever come from ever. You can directly
Right,
trace your
right,
lineage.
right.
You kind of can't play that card
Yeah,
anymore.
no, that's
Humans are
true.
everywhere. We've been everywhere.
So I mean, I get it, and I've certainly made jokes myself about it because it's funny. But
Hmm.
legitimately, I don't know that that's a fair argument. I mean, they've been doing it. It is their culture. It is what they are, right?
Yeah. Well,
Now
the
I
problem
understand they're
is,
different.
yes, and that a lot of them have abandoned uh, Judaism. They're not even
Religion altogether,
practicing
which is
Jews.
why I don't know why they
Yeah,
call themselves Jews. Why bother? What's the
I don't
point?
know.
If you're not worshiping, then what's the point? You're not racially so. I mean, go look at the Arabs because that's what the Hebrews look like. Matter of
Yeah,
fact, if you go to like say Najarim or someplace like this, you go in
mhm,
there and you're going to see a bunch of Arabs running around that are Jewish
that's right.
because they're Hebrew, you
Well,
see.
you can even go when I was in Israel, and you can look now. The heavy, staunch Orthodox Jewish communities, not all of them, but a lot of them, they don't look like Ashkenazi Jews. They don't look like
No.
white people at
Well,
all.
God
Not
Saad,
even
if you ever
close.
watched him, that's a Jew.
Yeah, yes, that's what an actual Hebrew would look
Looks
like,
like.
right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And okay, fine, whatever. A lot of them aren't worshiping anymore either. But if you want to get into the racial aspect of it, but if you go to Nasharim or someplace like this in Jerusalem, don't you be a Zionist or an
yeah,
Ashkenazi. They just call them Zionist, right? Because they hate them. Matter of
they're
fact,
not
it's
fans.
much more likely that those Hebrew Jews are going to side with the Palestinians than the Ashkenazi,
Well, a
right?
lot of them been living there for who knows,
Thousands
at
of
least
years. Yeah.
yeah, at least 3,000 years. Uh, they were for the most part cool, right? They had their arrangement, and everybody left each other alone. And then a
Mm,
whole bunch of Brits came in there and started meddling. They started
well,
meddling.
every couple of centuries or so, there would be a Jew massacre. Let's be fair.
Well, you gotta trim the hedges, you know.
I guess. There. See, we
You
can't
just
do those
you just
jokes anymore. What a
you
shame.
just You just don't want to be the generation living then. Every other time it's cool, but then every once in a while they
Yeah,
come and trim the hedge, and that's just not when you want to be alive. It's just how it is, though. Like the
yeah,
reality of humanity is it's never, except for in the white Christian West, that is never the place. You never want to be a minority anywhere. You just don't. It's not. It. Everybody oppresses minorities. Everyone.
yeah.
Everyone. There's not a country on this earth of any significance that anybody has ever heard of that is not a white Christian country. They're the only ones that make it a point to try and not do that as much as possible, and that's recent. There was a time when the white Christian countries did it a hell of a lot. So you don't want to live in that circumstance, which is the only reason why I think it's perfectly, or not the only reason, but one of the main reasons why I have absolutely no problem with Israeli nationalism. I think it's fine. I think that's exactly how every country should be, in
Yeah,
fact,
sure.
very
Yeah, I had no
protective
problem
of
with it either.
themselves.
I mean, but you're right. The ones who are not actually religious, I don't get it. You're
I,
not ancestrally connected to that. Not really. You're connected to the worship. You're connected to the religion, for a very long time, but you're not genetically connected to those old Hebrews. You're just not, right? Shit, Greeks are more closely related than you are, right?
yep.
So I mean, you don't have any actual blood heritage to it. So why the clinging to it if you're not worshiping? If you're worshiping, I get it, right? The Orthodox Jews, the Hasidic Jews, and wherever you find them, okay, like Ben Shapiro, I get it with him. He's Ashkenazi as well, but he's a serious Jew. So cool, I get
He's
it.
very, very Talmudic, Mister
Yeah, he
Mister
is.
Shapiro.
But I'm just saying, I
Um,
get that. I
Yeah, no, it
understand
makes
that. I have
sense.
no issue
I
with that.
understand it completely. My only problem with Shapiro and his ilk is, can you give me even a tenth of that rage when something happens to Americans? Just buster it up
Well,
for me,
he
please.
gives you a
You're an
snark.
American,
Take
man.
what you can get,
Yeah, he's not really an
goyim.
American. Let's be honest. He's a Israeli provocateur. That's
I
what he
I
is.
called
He
you
just
a I
happens to
called
be an
you a
American
goyim,
citizen.
and
You
you
did,
let
you
me did.
racist.
I know. No, he is. He's a shield for Israel. He is, and that's fine. That's
Yeah.
why I've always said, I like Ben. He's wonderfully, his speech, his ability to speak, his intelligence, his mind is wonderful. I appreciate the hell out of it, right? But I keep saying they're grooming him to be a member of the Knesset without question.
Well, I told you that he was over there for some conference like a year or two ago, obviously before all this nonsense happened.
Well, no,
And
he was in Israel like literally a couple of hours before it happened. He
yeah,
literally just was on a plane.
and he was at some conference, and they asked him why they don't, why he doesn't do that, whatever it's called. There's some name they have for it, but basically become an Israeli
Yeah, yeah,
citizen,
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
full fledged. And he said quite literally, because he can do more good in America for Israel by promoting Israel by being an American.
Yeah,
And I'm like, oh, so
it's probably
okay, so
true.
you're just a shill. Cool.
He is.
All right.
Yeah, no,
Well,
he did.
at least he's honest about
No, no,
it.
he's never lied about that. He's never hit that. He's always been straight up about that. The only thing I'd say, even though he is quite orthodox, that's good about Ben Shapiro, is he doesn't hate on the Christians.
Well,
I
I would
mean,
disagree with that.
nah, he's not harsh like
He's not hardcore about it, but he
yeah.
clearly hates Jesus. And I don't know how personally,
Oh,
I'm
they
not a
all hate
Christian.
it. Read their books. Just go read their books.
I
Jesus,
have.
people. I mean, you want to understand what's going on? Read.
There's a reason the early church people, the early Christians, the early followers weren't fans of the Jews, because the Jews were very much their enemy. Anyway,
Well,
um,
the Jews are the ones who were yelling to the emperors to throw him to the lions.
yep. Yeah, see, most people don't know that. That's what's crazy. Like that, it wasn't like the Romans were like, yeah, screw this random tiny cult that's not a threat to anything. No, it wasn't that. It was the people who they besmirched by existing because Jesus dared to call himself the Christ.
Yeah,
Um, that couldn't let that go, and they chased him all over the damn Roman Empire. One of the main reasons why Christianity spread the way it did was they were fleeing
yeah,
what the Bible calls the synagogue of Satan, the fake Jews that were persecuting them.
yeah. No,
That's
yeah,
a
and
fact.
and most of their churches were underground. We find them all the time, by the
Yep.
way, in archaeology.
Yep.
There's, there are thousands and thousands of examples of these underground, Roman era Christian churches that they had underground,
Which
because they had to hide. Yeah.
when Shapiro has what's the word I'm looking for? The lack of tact, I'll guess I'll use uh, to go on Joe Rogan's show. He's on Joe Rogan's podcast, and Joe
Yeah.
Rogan asked him, basically about his opinion of Jesus, as a Jewish person, and he calls him a criminal who got what he deserved. I just don't know how any Christian could work for that man. I
Well,
couldn't do it. I'm not even a Christian. I couldn't do it. I'm like, nah, you don't get to disrespect Jesus. Like, no, I'm good. I don't need your money.
it is
Simple as
interesting. The
that.
Muslims wouldn't do that either. They respect it.
Dude.
Um,
And
uh,
no Muslim would work for somebody who said that. They just
yeah,
wouldn't.
no. Because keep in mind, Islam is just a spin-off of Christianity, as Christianity is a
Christian
spin-off
heresy.
of Judaism or
Hmm.
Hebrews, right?
Yep.
Yeah, no, it is kind of crazy. But like I said, just go read their books. Go read their
Yep.
books. They're full of vitriol for Jesus or Yeshua.
The other one that triggers me a bit, and again, not even in church anymore, but it used to when I used to go to church a lot, is this term in America called Judeo-Christian values.
Hmm.
What? 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 What do you what?
It
That's
sh-
heresy. How dare you put something before Christ
it should
in,
be
in the in
Yeshua
the
Christian.
prospect?
You're right. You're right.
No,
You're right.
it should just be Christian.
No,
If you're
Yeshua.
if
Let's
that's
go
your
with
religion,
Yeshua.
just Christian is fine.
Yeah.
Or if you
uh,
want to merge the two at some kind of common ground, which there's very little if you actually read the dang Talmud, um, just godly. Just say godly values. Why do we have to have Judeo first? And honestly, I genuinely believe that's a Zionist trick just to get Christians in line. And
Mm.
that's why
Now,
American Christians basically worship the state of Israel. It's crazy.
yeah, no, and it's a good bit of propaganda from actual Zionists.
Yeah.
But that aside, what happened in Israel is frickin' diabolical, and
Yes.
I stand with their right to protect themselves and to blow that
Yes.
evil out of the water.
Yep.
And all of this nonsense. The one thing that's I can't do my Mel Brooks routine anymore. Damn it. Um, but which pisses me off. But the other thing is, for my whole life, I've heard these Zionist councils in Europe and all their harsh laws. You can't make jokes like I make in Europe. Mel Brooks would have
No.
been arrested, and
No.
he's super Jew, right?
Yes. You don't get much Jewier than Mel.
No, Mel's awesome. Uh, but I'm just saying, I've always chafed against those rules. It's ridiculous. Free speech, baby. I don't care. Free speech is there to protect ugly, evil speech. Just like these Palestinians marching in the streets, it's disgusting, but they have a right to do it. And to be fair, they've been, in the West anyway, they've been mostly very peaceful. So, and that's true. There's not a fire behind me when I say that, right?
Yep.
So they have a right to say disgusting things. But I always chafed against these Zionist rules in Europe, and because I was kind of ridiculous. But damn it, they're right, dude. They're right. I mean, I can't believe what I'm seeing. I'm glad it's happening so I can see it because there are so many people that hate Jews. And it's like,
Yeah.
why are you hating anybody? I mean, I can understand hating a terrorist, but that's kind of like saying you hate a serial killer or mass rapist or something. I mean, of course you do. I mean, but I mean, you shouldn't be hating on anyone just simply because they're part of this or that, right? That's not really a focused attention, right? That's
Well,
not really the way to do it. You know what I mean? You know what I
unfortunately,
mean?
we no, I agree with you. Unfortunately, we don't live in should land, Chester. We live in the
Yeah.
land of is. And in the
But
land of is,
damn.
people hate people for any fuck pick a thing. There's
Yeah.
people out there who genuinely just hate blue-eyed people. I've met them.
Damn
They don't like them.
mullets.
Damn blue eyes. Get out of
Yeah.
here with your ocean eyes.
Gingers.
Get out of here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's this is why when people say we need to fix racism and then everything will
Yeah.
be okay.
Ain't
No, it won't.
happening.
No, it won't.
That's
No,
very
it won't.
clear.
Even if you somehow fixed racism, quote unquote, people will find a different reason to hate each other.
Yeah.
It's just an excuse.
It's
It's
true,
just an
Gregory.
excuse to hate. A lot of like the anti-Jew stuff is because people misappropriate the enemy, which is mostly the Zionists and the banksters that they control.
Yeah, it's the big rich people that think they're smarter and better than rest of you, and they gotta
Yes,
think for you because they're better. But that's not Jew. That's
correct.
a big
But that's what I'm
dumbass
saying.
banking conglomerate.
They misconstrue that. So, like an accountant over here who happens to live in New Jersey and is Jewish, right? He's not involved with the
No,
Rothschilds, guys.
no,
I'm gonna tell you right now, he's
no.
not welcome at the Rothschild estate.
And
Okay, he's not
and
calling
be,
up Lord Rothschild on the phone and be like, "Hey, what's up?
yeah,
How many white people can we kill today?" That's not what he's doing.
no.
All right, calm
And
down.
well, look at Ben Shapiro's perfect juxtaposition to that, right? Because Ben Shapiro is a conservative. He's on Daily
Yep.
Wire. He's speaking out against the nonsense of Hollywood, who are not worshiping. They're secular Saturnist is what they really are, is their religion. And Ben stands up against that staunchly, right? And he's a very serious Orthodox Jew. It shows you right
Yes.
there. Right there's your example, right? That you can't universally throw that around. Uh, but
Yep.
uh, but people who get frustrated, and you got to keep in mind, we have centuries, if not millennia, of examples of Jew hatred and Jew death. So there's got to be a reason behind that, and we've talked about that. But
Yep.
it's maybe we should try to work on trying to stop that. But then again, all attempts to stop things are just they just fail. So everything is going to fail in this as well. But the radical amount of Jew hatred is shocking to me. The Africans, it seems, universally just hate the Jew. Okay,
Well, there's a reason for that.
I suppose, but the Europeans, the governments anyway, some of them are standing with it, but you got a lot of pushback on it. Um,
Yep.
Putin hadn't said much. He's just kind of staying out of it because he knows he's going to get dragged into this shit. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, I just can't believe it. And with the wokeites, the progressives, they're always looking for a new campaign to be on because they get bored very easily. Their attention spans are very short, and
Mhm.
they need something to scream about because that is their endorphin, right?
Yeah.
Is screaming about stuff.
It's what gets them off.
Yeah.
Outrage. They get off on the outrage about things.
And
Um,
that might be
I,
true a
I'm
little
gonna go
bit,
back.
Gregory. We've seen the
I'll go
Zionists do
back to
that before. Yeah.
the thing you said about how they were right. The only problem with that mindset is they've already done all of these things, right? They've already put especially in Europe, all these laws and all this stuff in, and it
Oh
didn't
yeah.
work.
No, it didn't.
People still have the same complaints that if you ever I highly recommend people go read a proper English translation, not the common one. The common one's a little bit messed with. There's a proper out there. You can find it on the internet. Proper English translation of Mein Kampf. Read it, and you'll understand more about how people become like that.
Yeah.
What drives
Yeah.
that? Where it comes from? It doesn't just oops a daisy. I don't like Jews now. There's a reason. And like I said with the Africans, a lot of Africans don't like, and I mean actual Africans don't like Jews. And the reason for that is the Jews were the primary financiers of the slave trade, them and the Arabs.
Yep.
And they know that. The Africans understand their history better than people give them credit for. So they're like, nah,
Well,
fuck
of
them.
course they
I
do.
don't want nothing to do with them. And
Alan,
I can
call me a
understand that.
blue-eyed male goblin.
Yeah, you're too tall to be a goblin. You'd be more like a ogre.
Yeah, or a bugbear.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Damn,
bugbears, ogres. Yeah.
Alan.
But no, and see, I've been in the circles of the far right, much deeper than you probably have, Chester. And I've
Huh?
ran into
Oh
these
yeah.
people
Sure.
who have this genuine hatred for Jewish people. And I don't try to push back on it, but I try to avoid it. And the reason being is two reasons. One, hatred is poison. You have to not hate your enemies. I know it's hard, and I know a lot of times they damn well deserve it, but you still got to try because it'll ruin your life. It won't
Mm.
ruin theirs. You might get theirs. You might be able to ruin theirs. Good for you. But then what? Then what? You're still stuck with this bitterness and this hatred that is just poisoning you.
Yeah. It's no
Uh,
good, man.
so hatred is poison. Get that out of your system. Understand why you feel the way you feel. What is it about these people that makes you feel this way? Because nothing just happens, right? This idea that bigotry is unexplainable, that's retarded. Of course it's explainable. There's a reason people think the things they do, but no one wants to have those conversations because it's hard. Because then they have to look in the mirror and realize, well, maybe these people aren't perfectly innocent little victims, and we need to stop pretending like the world's that simple. Because the world isn't that simple. There's a reason why the Jews have been kicked out of 109 countries throughout history. It's not just because people don't like them. It's because they've certain ones of them did some terrible things, and the people just had enough of it, and they kicked them all
Yeah,
out.
and
It was
they
just
just kind of
easier to
get
kick them all out.
as a block thrown
Yeah,
and abused. And
which
that's
I
the
personally don't like. I wish it wasn't that way, but you kind of understand why people do that
yeah, you have to be
when
more
they when
discerning.
they have when they have just like in like the American black community, the idea of snitches get stitches. You don't talk. Well, the Jews do the same thing
Oh
in
yeah,
a lot of their communities.
extremely so.
So,
Yeah.
what are they supposed to do? You won't give up to people causing trouble, so fine, everybody get out. And that was
Yeah.
why they did it.
Yeah.
Everybody get out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Gregory here is mentioning the past 200 years of these Zionist groups trying to bring to force prophecy to become reality, right? They have
Yes.
been doing this, and they've been very successful at it, mind you. But they want to bring the prophecies. Now, I don't know, understand if you force a prophecy to happen, does that make it magic?
No.
No, I would say not.
And there, by
But
the way,
here's yeah,
this is my biggest problem with the whole religion, which is barely even a religion of Judaism, is it's stupid. So you mean to tell me that you as a mortal human can force God to do something.
yeah,
You
yeah.
can make him play his hand. You can do that. Then he's not God. I don't know what he is, but he isn't God. If he's not more powerful than you and greater than you in all things, why would you worship him?
Yeah.
What are you doing? That's
It's weird.
stupid.
But keep in mind, the point I'm trying to make because we're getting to drifting a little bit, is
Yep.
these Zionists, these rich, powerful, incredibly funded people that have been doing
Yes.
these crazy things for the past 2 centuries. Right? This has been going on very heavily, longer really, but past 200 years has been the full court press. They still live in Europe.
Yes.
They're not in Israel. And
No.
you have to understand the majority of those people, those Jews, those
Mm.
Ashkenazi, or they all call them Zionists, but they're not. We have
Correct.
videos of them being mass transported from frickin' detention camps, German concentration camps, and all across Europe being shipped down there. These are just
Yes.
normal Jews that have nothing to do with the Zionist agenda at all, just thrown
Correct.
in there. Oh, here you go, bring you back to your homeland, and yeah, you guys will be at peace. And of course, they went from one war-torn century into another, right? So
Yeah.
these people living in Israel are not Zionists. Now, some of the government might be, but they're not. The Zionists are in Switzerland. That's where they are, and
Yes.
Belgium and places like that. They're not in Israel.
And they have no interest in being in Israel. Why would they want to? They live in these. Have you seen the Rothschilds' houses? They're insane. They're
Dude,
better than any king on the planet.
their
These houses they're living
property
in.
value alone is $500 trillion.
That's why would they want to leave Europe? They own Europe.
They
It's
own so much.
theirs.
But I'm just saying that this is the problem. So the Jewish people there, and once again, Israel is not just Jews. At least 20% of the
Correct.
population is Arabic, and therefore Muslim, right?
And there's some
And
Christians in there
and
too.
there's a bunch of Christians in there too. And of course,
Uh,
they call themselves Jews, but most of them are secular. They don't worship anything. If you want to find Hasidic Jews outside of a kibbutz or even in the kibbutz, you have to go to Jerusalem, dude,
Yes.
or New York, or
Yep.
somewhere in Florida. That's where we hide them.
Yep. Well, this is how it's for all the people who actually do have this idea that it's hashtag all of them, that all of them are the enemy. Well, look what happened in New York during COVID. Look at all the persecution that the actual Jewish Hebrew Jews that live in New York, the Orthodox, the Hasidics, like you're
Yeah,
talking
the
about,
aesthetics,
were
yeah.
going through just trying to worship, just trying to go to their
Oh, yeah.
services. They weren't permitted, but yet
The Christians
then
either.
people will just yeah, yeah, that's not my point. But my point is, how can you say these people are in some kind of grand global conspiracy
Yeah, no,
when
it's
they're being
ridiculous.
persecuted very publicly and obviously by the government of New York? Like, what are you talking about? You don't
Well,
think the government of New York could be part of this grand global conspiracy, the one of the most important cities in the world? Of course it would.
right.
What are you
But
talking
but
about?
it's the same thing. You could reverse it and say by that same logic that not all Americans are genocidal maniacs.
Well, yeah,
Our government
conveniently.
is.
Crazy, I know, right?
Well, I mean,
Crazy, I
right?
know. Most Americans are against violence. Them
Yeah,
crazy
yeah. It's
bastards.
kind of true everywhere you go. But it depends on indoctrination and the propaganda and the brainwashing you get as a child. If we go to, say, Gaza or Judea, I why do they keep insisting calling that the West Bank? I don't know. It's Judea. It's always been Judea.
Yeah.
What? Why? Someone explain that to me. But anyway, um, we have video after video after video. That's the thing. The evidence is right there if you take a minute, right? Of just thousands of Palestinian boys being indoctrinated from a very young age. They're like 5, 6 years old, put in these military schools. Their Boy Scouts are teaching them how to shoot guns and kill Jews, right? And it's not a joke. It's legitimate. Like I said, there are video after video displaying this proudly. So if you're in a culture that is teaching you to kill from the moment you can even understand the concept of it, teaching you that the ultra enemy is the Jew and you need to kill all of them and the world will not be safe until they're dead because they are dangerous, they want to kill you, they want to rape your mama, right? Which I don't know when the last time I saw a Jew could get it up hard enough to rape anyone. But sorry, Mel came out again. I can't help it. But that's a perfect Mel Brooks joke, by the way,
It
if you
is.
understand the man. But because he thought it was all
Lot of
ludicrous as well.
lot of self-loathing in
Well, he
Mel, but
just
it's
thought it
all
was
in good fun.
ludicrous, right?
Yeah.
It's his thing. But I mean, if you grow up in that situation, are you surprised what's happening now? You shouldn't be.
No, no. And I don't know what the solutions are. I think the only real solution, especially over there, particularly, is some way, somehow, we got to get these people out of there. Not, I don't mean kill them. Just they have to be moved somewhere.
That's true,
Make
Gregory.
a deal
Yeah,
with make a deal with one of the countries over there and get them out. Get them out.
right.
They don't need to come here. First of all, let's back up. They don't need to come all the way on the other side of the damn world to America. That's obscene. When they're surrounded by a billion other Arabs they could live with. Uh, but
Yeah,
that I think is the only real solution because one, you're not going to force Israel out. Two, you're literally not going to force them out. They have nukes. Good luck. They will blow up everything. And
oh
three,
yeah.
um, and they even have that like an official thing called the Samson option where they'll target even European cities. Just
Cou-
they're just
Of course, they
they'll
put
say
a
F it.
cool name on it. You got to give the
Yeah,
Jews credit for that
yeah.
shit, though, man.
They do got that
They
down though.
do.
They
They got that
the
down.
artisticness.
Yeah, we should have more
Um,
Jews in WWE. It would help it because it's an absolute travesty right now. I actually watched a little bit of wrestling this weekend. Dude, it's a sloppy mess. What the
what'd you
frick is
watch?
going
Wait,
on?
what'd you watch?
I watched a little bit of Raw, a little bit of SmackDown, a little bit of something called Fastlane. It's a
Ah,
hot mess. It's a hot mess. The only thing I saw that was getting any kind of proper professionalism going on was a match that had some guy named LA Knight, and he's legit. No, he's
yeah.
legit. That guy's wrestling skill is real. John Cena, who really needs to shave it because he's balding severely.
Yeah.
Um, just shave it, John. Just shave it.
Just
You know,
embrace it, bro. Just
embrace it, brother.
embrace it.
Go, Steve Austin. He's much cooler than
Yep,
you are anyway.
that's true.
Way
Even
cooler
today,
than you, dude.
even
So,
today.
you know, and of course it was versus a couple of they call themselves the Usos. What's the name of their Monopina? What's the name of that family?
The Fatus.
The Fatus. Yeah, thank you. There's a few Samoan Polynesian families. Old Dwayne Johnson's He's a mana akamanana pina something, right? But you do have some legacy families. But of course, those families take it seriously.
Yep.
That was the only match that was of any value. And I know I'm getting off track, but trust me, it's related because the
Oh,
WWE definitely needs some Jew power. No, seriously,
Jew power.
because no, seriously, you know, wrestling. When I'm old enough where I was at a transition period where wrestling went from being treated as a professional sport like boxing
Yep.
into a circus. I'm at
Yep.
that perfect moment, when Hulk Hogan came up and all that stuff where it transitioned, right? From being treated like a legitimate sport, mostly into the circus it became. Now, and I mean, shit, Ryder Piper exists, right? And the clownish, silly ass shit he did and all of them did, it's silly, it's circus, it's cartoon. I get it. I get it. But back in those days with all that kind of goofy wink, 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 male soap opera stuff, um,
Yep.
it was still cool. It still had tongue in cheek coolness to it. It's freaking lame now. It's so lame, dude. It is. You can't tell me it's not. It's lame. Lame.
So
And the
two
but,
things,
but more
Chester.
importantly, the wrestling is sloppy as shit, dude.
The wrestling is sloppy. It's much sloppier than if you go see. There's a lot of people on all over the internet, on Twitch, on Kick, and all these other on YouTube too. I would assume that stream old wrestling, like even '90s WWE or whatever,
Way
or just
better.
older. You can just tell these guys just were better. They were better at it. There's no other way to put it. You can break it down if you'd like, but the reality of it is everything they were doing, by and large, even the guys in the middle of the card, it just looks better. It looks
Yeah.
more authentic. It looks more like what it should look like. I say this all the time about pro wrestling. When pro wrestling's done right, when I'm watching it, it should feel like I'm watching a cowboy movie fight. The same level of
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
dramaticness
Yeah. That's
and
why I say they
everything
need you
should be
power.
in. Yeah, that's what it should feel like. It should have that same level. Like every punch is exaggerated to a certain degree, but not too much. You got to know what the level is and stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, uh,
Yeah, back on
I
topic. I just
it's
sorry,
interesting though that you said
divergent,
LA Knight because
tangent.
he is the big up and coming guy right now.
Well, he's legit
He's
though.
exploding.
I don't know
But
about his
if you
character,
notice
but he's legit. Yeah.
my my new avatar picture, my new profile picture is of him. I picked this picture because recently on SmackDown he faced off with Roman Reigns. You know, the actual champion, the big dog himself, old Roman.
He's
And
one of those
they
hopatupas.
yes. Yeah, yes, he is. He is in fact The Rock's cousin by marriage,
He's a
but yes.
makanana pia.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's all one big
Well,
family
there's a
over
couple
there.
of
It's
them. There's a
very
couple
odd.
of them.
Oh, there's more than a couple. They've got probably a dozen of them all throughout wrestling now. In WWE, there's 4, 5, 6. There's 6 in WWE right now that are from that family,
But I mean, there's
at
two
different
separate
levels.
families, right?
Yeah, but they're
You
all
got the
part
mana
of
mana
the,
pias and you got the hapatapatuas.
they're all part of the, Anoa'i family overall, though.
Oh, are
Like,
they?
there's 2
Okay, all
different
right.
branches in the same family. But
Cousins.
anyway, this picture here during SmackDown, he came out and John Cena called him out to confront Roman Reigns basically because he's going to be his next challenger for the title. LA Knight is, and they got this unbelievable shot because if nothing else, if everything else falls apart, WWE's production value is the best in the world.
It
It's
is good,
insane
which is
what
they're
they can
wasting
do.
it though.
It's insane what their cameramen can do. They are just so good. And this cameraman got this perfect shot. LA Knight was wearing these like mirrored sunglasses with real reflective lenses.
Yeah,
And he had this perfect shot of Roman in each of it. It's in my picture, but you can't really see it. Of Roman in each of the lenses. And at that
I see
moment,
it. Yeah.
LA Knight said something to the effect of, "You're in my way." It's just, oh my. If they planned that, that's brilliant. If they didn't, that is some serious serendipity because the visual of it and then LA Knight talking to him and just fantastic. It was fantastic little moment there.
Oh, they probably
Fastlane
did
was
plan it.
kind of eh. They probably did. Fastlane was
Yeah.
is kind of eh. I'll be honest, it wasn't that great of a pay per view. Um, SmackDown really falls off when Roman's not there. So if Roman wasn't there, they just I don't for whatever reason they just don't know how to build the shows very well anymore without him as the
Well,
central figure of
I think they've allowed HR to exist, and they're too concerned about getting injured, and even though they're going to
yeah,
get injured anyway,
yeah,
right? Because the old dudes are like, screw it. I mean, think about. Let's talk about. I know this is off topic, but trust me, we're trying to get the Jews some work. We know they need work. They need money. We're trying to help them out. All right.
yeah. They're real
Um,
broke.
well, let's go back to one of the most legendary matches of all time, and it's not even a very good match, but it's so memorable. Hell in a
Yeah,
Cell, 1998,
yeah,
Undertaker versus Mankind, a la Mick Foley. Right.
yep,
That will live forever. That match. And look what those guys came in, decided to do what they did.
yes.
Undertaker and Vince were like, no, 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 Mick, no, Mick. And then Mick was, yeah, man, it's going to be cool. Yeah, man, it's going to be cool. And they're like, oh, okay, Mick. So they literally, the intention was to throw him off. The intention was to throw him through. That's why they had zip ties on the cage instead of what they would normally do for safety. And the whole tack thing, Mick Foley, the whole time, even though his literal tooth has gone through his face into his nose, he's still fighting, right? Has fallen ridiculous heights twice. He keeps whispering in Undertaker's ear, "Dude, we got to do the tax. We got to do the tax, man. We got to." And Undertaker's like, "Dude, let's just go home. Let's go home, man. My foot's broken anyway before I even walk in here. Let's go home." He's like, "No, no, I got to do the tax, man." So he gets the tax out. Undertaker slams him in like he's supposed to. Oh, then he goes back and says, "That wasn't good enough. We got to do it again."
Yep.
This is the mentality of a wrestler.
That's
Not these pussies we see running around the ring today.
I
Not
will
all
say
of them.
this.
Some of them are stuck in it. Cody is real old school.
Oh
Cody.
yeah,
Uh,
he absolutely would have been Mick Foley. Let's keep going. We got to keep going. We got to keep going. We got to keep going. We know this because the son of a bitch went out there with a torn pec
he
and his
did.
chest was
He
swollen to
did.
two
He
sizes
did.
bigger than normal and
He
wrestled
did.
the hell in
He
a cell
did.
match.
But no, he's
Crazy
old because
bastard.
his family's old school. But
Yeah.
but even with Cody, because I saw him fighting, and they've slowed him down because the other guys are too slow.
Yes.
One of the best
I agree.
matches I've ever seen in wrestling, and I'm talking about just the fun of amazing gymnastics, wrestling prowess, right? The best match I've ever seen in my life was Goldust and his brother Cody against a couple of Samoans, maybe the Usos, I don't know, but
It was the Yep.
that freaking match, dude. So
Yep.
fast, so clean, just boom, boom, boom. Oh my God, freaking
Well,
Goldust is a
Dustin was in
god.
there.
That
Yeah.
that guy, Dusty, he's or Dustin, I guess to be more specific. They use him to get people over all the time, and he's a good sport about it. But that dude is legit, hardcore
He was.
legit,
He
dude.
always has been. They used to call him, and he wrestles under this name now in AEW. But back in the day, before he became Goldust and everything, they used to call him the Natural because
Mm,
he just was so good
so
at
good,
wrestling.
dude. So good.
It just came off him like it was nothing. Like he was just out. He just knew what to do. He didn't waste energy. He didn't waste steps. One of the big things you notice, and this is probably what you were noticing, a lot of these guys they waste energy. They're doing way more. It's why it looks sloppy because they're doing way more than they need to. They need to chill out and just hit the beats when they need to hit the beats and let things breathe a little bit. And that's one of my biggest problems with modern wrestling in general. That's one of the things Roman does very, very well. The reason why I think he is the star that he is,
Well, he's
and
got
why people
he's
have
got legacy,
went
dude.
from
Yeah.
but why people have went from completely despising the guy to truly enjoying him and genuinely respecting his work, myself included, is he matured as a wrestler and he understands that you don't have to always press the gas. That you need to know when to let off and
Yeah,
even hit the brakes
that's
sometimes
true.
because that's how you get the crowd going. That's how you get them into it. That's how you get that roar, that rumble in the crowd that wrestlers will talk about.
The pop.
And then you get them to the pop, and then you bring them to the climax, which is the highest pop you're going to get, which is usually right by the finish.
Mm.
Uh,
Oh,
if you're doing it right, if you're
well,
doing it
like
correctly.
Johnson, Dwayne Johnson was freaking epic at that. He was really good at that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
And
that's just something that they can't really teach you. You either figure it out or you don't. Like
Right.
Randy Orton
That's true.
understands it, Cena
Well,
understands
well,
it,
he's the best
Reigns
living wrestler you
understands it.
have anyway.
Um, who else Lesnar understands it, that you don't need to be going at this crazy pace at all times. There's a time and a place to do it. And Eddie Guerrero, CM Punk talks about this. He used to wrestle, when he was an independent wrestler, and Eddie was on the independent scene for a little while. And he got to wrestle him a bunch. And what he says is he knew how to do all the wrestling moves, but Eddie Guerrero taught him how to be a wrestler.
Yeah.
And the difference is knowing when not to do something, just to chill out, just let it sit for a minute, let it breathe. It doesn't matter if you know how to do every move in the book if they don't matter, right? And that's what the great ones learn and do. Even Hogan. Hogan gets crapped on a lot because he's not this great technical wrestler.
Well, he's a
But
dick, you
I'll
know,
tell you what,
but
his
he knows how to
matches
do it. Yeah.
them matches get you in there. They get you
hmm
going. They get you invested.
Well,
He's doing something right.
he's still the most famous wrestler in history. Still, you go into the
Yeah,
world,
all
name a
over the world.
wrestler, they go to Hulk Hogan. It's going to come up,
Hulk Hogan,
right?
easy.
I think The Rock did a really good job of coming up and making his name, but still, he's more
Yep.
famous because of Hollywood. There's plenty of people that probably don't even know he is a wrestler, right?
No, there
Uh,
was actually. I remember when he came back to wrestle about 10 years ago. There was a lot of people, younger people especially, who were like, "What? He was a wrestler? I didn't know that." And that was 10 years ago. So imagine now
one of the biggest
how
ones
few.
ever, but
Yeah.
I don't like it's just a taste thing. I don't take anything away from Johnson. I mean, he figured it out and he got it right. But I
Yes.
don't like the mouthy, arrogant jagoffs
Yes.
character. Well, I mean, and that's he made that successful for himself, right? I'm much
Yes.
more of a Steve Austin guy.
Yes.
That's the
Me
character
too.
I like. Your Roddy Piper, Steve
Oh,
Austin.
like
Um,
I always like see, and here's the queer thing, the weird thing. I guess queer would work
yeah,
there. The
career
weird
worker.
thing, um, I always love Macho Man too, because even though
Oh,
he was
Macho.
much more of that mouthy jackoff, he was just so entertaining. It was, I mean,
A
his
little bit
promos,
different though. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, but his promos were just so, they were just entertaining. Like
He's just a
they're
full-on
great
cartoon
monologues.
character though, dude. Come on.
Oh, I love Macho
Macho.
Man.
He's great. Yeah.
Macho and, to this day, Macho and Stone Cold are my 2 favorite wrestlers, like 1A, 1B, and they're 2 totally. I really regret, well, I don't regret it, but I wish we would have seen them have a feud at some point, but it never happened. They never
Yeah,
were
that
around each
they
other.
the
They're
you know,
like,
the age is a little different too.
yep,
And to be fair, Steve's career was rather cut short.
yeah, all his
He had way
injuries,
too many
unfortunately.
injuries. Yeah. But anyway, let's see here. Let me see what the chat is doing. Ben
They're
has
going
got
off.
opinion. Our resident Jew has an opinion. Hold on a second, Ben. Again, give my people Wyoming, dude. I'm with you, dude. It's going to blow up anytime anyway, so it might be the ultimate solution. Mel Brooks in
And
the
in fact,
house, baby. Huh?
it might be the final solution.
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to go there. I backed it up. I
Ah!
backed it up a quarter step. Sorry. Ric Flair Gregory says Ric Flair would legit wrestle tough guys from the cities they performed in. He'd wrestle a guy for an hour, entertaining the crowd the entire time. Amazing. Yeah, no, Ric Flair's freaking amazing wrestler, a real pro.
Yep.
But I'm just the point I'm making is the the wrestling is super sloppy, and the thing with that is that's way more dangerous. That is way
Well,
more
and
dangerous.
there's no
Um,
excuse for it either. The people who are in charge of WWE right now, of the creative and of the talent, are former wrestlers. All of them.
yeah.
From Triple H to Shawn Michaels, they control the whole gamut from top to bottom. There's no excuse for the wrestling to look worse than it did 20 years ago. It should look at least as good. At least as good. And
Yeah,
if
no,
not
it's
better.
sad.
But it doesn't.
No.
It just simply doesn't.
And their storylines are dumb. They've always been dumb, but there's always been that tongue in cheek cool. Now it's
Yep.
just, literally kindergarten soap opera. It's so stupid, dude. But the thing that irritates me the most is the wrestling though. It just really needs that kind of old school touch to it where
If
they
you
be
can
professional.
if you can find it, in over the summer, Brock Lesnar and Cody Rhodes had a feud, had a
Oh yeah.
rivalry. They did 3
Well, those
matches,
two
and they
legit
were
dudes. So
all fantastic matches. I think you would really like all three of them.
Yeah.
Their feud, and here's the thing with their feud: we still have no idea why it happened.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Simply because
Who
because
cares?
Brock Lesnar is Brock Lesnar, and he decided he was going to beat the hell out of Cody Rhodes. So that's what happened.
There you
He
go.
beat the hell
That's
out of
enough.
Cody Rhodes, and that
Yeah.
was it.
Yeah.
And that it was fine, even though everybody's like, why did Brock do that? Eh, he's
Well, who
Brock. That's
cares?
why.
Because Vince wanted to see him put them together because he knew it'd pop.
Well, he
Um,
also he's trying to get Cody to that level, right? He's trying to get Cody to that
it took
next
it's
echelon.
taken a very long time, hasn't it?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I wonder why. Why did Cody never? Why is he never really sold? I don't know because he is a really good wrestler. He is really good.
Yes. Well, they're
But
they're working on it now. They had a main event with Roman last year at Mania. He lost, but they've been telling the story very, very, very slowly, but telling the story of him getting another shot at Roman, because Roman said that he would never give him another shot, basically, because he lost. And so basically, they're starting very slowly to that slow burn to get back to that story of Cody and Roman, because I think they understand that these two guys, especially the age they are, they're both in their late 30s, so they still have a good decade in them. These are your guys. If you're going to have a decade, the next decade of wrestling, most likely these are going to be your two workhorses that carry your company.
yeah,
So they need to get Cody to Roman's level, and the only way that's really going to happen is he's going to eventually have to beat the damn guy. Uh,
mhm.
but I think that's where they're going. It's pretty obvious, especially recently on SmackDown. They had a face off, and it didn't really go anywhere other than they just had a face off. So that's pretty obvious that eventually they're gonna get back to that. But like I was saying, with the Cody and the Brock thing, I think that's the main reason that happened. They needed somebody to elevate Cody, and Brock did a fan. Of course, Brock did a fantastic job. He's one of the best of all. I'm very tired of the internet sleeping on how good Brock Lesnar is as a wrestler.
Oh, he's a
The
really
dude
good
is
wrestler.
amazing,
Yeah,
amazing wrestler. He understands, even if
understands
he
every
doesn't
aspect
like
of
it,
it.
he understands it on a
Yep.
level that most people won't ever understand.
Yeah, he knows how
He
to
just
pull a
gets it.
pop. He knows
Yep,
everything. Yeah.
he knows it.
But I'm going to say something two things that are slightly
Uh oh.
controversial. Please get rid of that lanky, awkward ass Japanese boy who can't wrestle to save his damn life.
He doesn't like Shinsuke one bit.
Dude, he sucks. He's awkward. His face pulls. I want to punch him in the face myself. I can't stand him. He's so bad for the camera, dude. He's
You know what's
bad for the
crazy?
camera.
Is he is nothing like that in real life. He's a totally chill dude. He's a surfer.
Most of them
He's
are.
a
Yeah.
he's a dad. He's a totally chill guy. But when he turns on his character, he becomes
It's
this
I
caricature.
can't stand it. But that's I think most humans would agree. Just go watch it and be like, ew, ew. It's just cringeworthy. He's so cringy. The other thing is, get rid of the freaking chicks. What are you doing with the chick shit? There's too many chicks running around. You think I'm going to believe that some little 4 foot nothing Vietnamese girl that I literally could spin on the end of my finger is going to drop a 300-pound wrestler? Are you kidding me?
What about Chester? I don't know if she
They're
had a match with Fastlane.
slower, way
I think
slower.
she did.
It's sloppy,
Yes,
and
I agree.
the
Uh-oh.
most important thing. I mean, I don't
Here it
mind me
comes.
a little bit of skin. I get that, right? But
Here it
most
comes.
importantly, they get injured way more often than the men do. You know why? Because their bodies
Well,
aren't built
women,
for that shit.
they have thinner bones. Um, the one I would recommend is Rhea Ripley. I don't know if she had a match on Fastlane. I don't remember, but Rhea Ripley is one of the only female wrestlers in a very long time that I can legitimately say is a great wrestler. Just as a
I don't
wrestler,
care
not a
how
woman
good
wrestler,
technically they could
a
be
wrestler.
amazing technically. That's not my point at all. That's not my point. I'm not saying they can't do it. I'm saying they're
Well,
slow. It's
yeah, but
dumb,
she's not.
and it's
That's my point.
most importantly, it's fucking dumb.
My point is she's not slow. She actually can work at a pace that's equivalent to the men. She's one of the few females who can do it. And the
Dude,
problem is
those
because
dudes are
she
slowing down.
exists.
Those dudes are
The
slowing
prop
down.
well, she doesn't really work with the men, but when I've watched enough wrestling, I can tell you, I can assure you, she could, and it would be
I know
fine.
it's fake, Joshua. That's not the point. They do
Um,
legitimately get hurt all the time, dude. All the time.
yes. Rhea is there was a in back in the 90s there was two Japanese female wrestlers, and one of them was oh, my brain just lost both their names because I'm old. Uh, Toyota was one of them. Her last name was Toyota. I can't remember the other one, but they were phenomenal, actually phenomenal wrestlers. They were fast. They were doing things men couldn't do or weren't doing at the time. They were unbelievably good wrestlers, the both of them. Rhea reminds me of them, and they actually were capable and actually were draws in Japan at the time, just themselves, and people
Gregor
would
and I
come
are in
just
the
to
same
watch.
boat on this. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
don't listen to Thundero.
Now,
He's
in
making
most of the things,
excuses. We
no, I'm
don't
not. I
need it.
genuinely am not.
Mhm.
99% of the time, I agree with you. I tell people all the time I skip most of the women's matches because here's why. It's everything you just said. It's like watching wrestling in slow motion. They're not entertaining, and when you slow wrestling down too much, it looks really fake. Like it really looks bad.
It's bad,
It's
dude.
like watching really bad dancing at that point when it's that
It's
slow.
so slow, it's so awkward, which
Yes.
is more
Yes.
dangerous.
It
Like I
is,
say,
and that's
these
why
girls
for the
get
reason
hurt
they
a
get hit.
lot.
Yeah.
They really do. Ben is agreeing with you. Fine, go ahead, be like that. You're supposed to be my personal Jew. I don't know what you're doing. But whatever. The Alan has something to say. He says by finger he means penis, and by penis he means penis. It's true.
No,
On
honestly,
my voice on it.
she's the exception, but because again, this is the problem. There'll always be one exception. There'll always be a chick who's really
Of
good at the
course,
sport, whatever. And
always.
because of that, you have 1,000 other chicks who think they can be her, and they're not her.
Yeah, but
And it's obvious
it
when you
used to
see them
be,
together.
they put them up there for a little bit of skin, let them do
Yep.
their thing, and I'm sure those girls took it seriously in whatever manner they took it seriously. But now they've integrated it so much that the girls are showing up in the men's matches all the time. I mean,
Yes.
constantly, and we used to have the manager, and it's always been there. But the way they're doing it now is they're showing these girls legitimately dropping big men. And it's just that's stupid, dude. I mean, they could kick on me all day, and I just kind of look at them sideways, right? And I'm not a pro wrestler.
You're not Brock Lesnar is what you're telling me?
No, fuck God, dude, that guy. I don't even know how he cleans his ass.
He probably doesn't. He does have many children. I'd
That's
imagine
true.
there's some arrangements
There's some
made.
arrangements, yeah. But I just can't stand it. Anyway, Marsupial Gamer has named us with his opinion. It's stunt acting. They get hurt too, and no, it's true. And it takes a lot of physicality and acting ability. Definitely a legitimate occupation, still fake. Yeah, no, of course it is. No one's arguing that. Yeah, we all know that. But that's not the point. The point I'm trying to make is, I want to have something cool, and I don't need this lame ass shit with the girls. But more important, that's a side thing. The main thing with me is the WWE is sloppy. It's sloppy
Yep,
wrestling,
I
hardcore
agree.
sloppy wrestling, and I'm like, whoa, what's going on? Because when I was young, occasionally you'd see a sloppy match, and you know what? You didn't see them again.
Not usually, no.
Yeah,
Or if you did, they weren't sloppy next time.
like go
Um,
listen to Edge talk about wrestling and his opinion and his emotion about it. Well, no, seriously. I mean, when he's sitting down being serious and he's not in some shoot or something like that, right? Where he's just talking. That guy, he brought so much emotion. He really truly loved wrestling. You can tell, right? And even though he said we plan this, we plan that, he's so excited just to be out there,
oh, he
right?
always has been.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's been a lifelong fan.
yeah.
Old Adam. It's funny you bring up Edge though, because he just recently went to that other company, old AEW, and he's working over there now.
Not good.
And every complaint you have about WWE, theirs is tenfold, at least.
Yeah, it's bad.
Uh,
Yeah.
and it's not a good situation. I actually am very worried for Mr. Adam Copeland, old Edge, because he does still have a semi bad neck. It's okay, he can wrestle with it, but
Yeah, they're all
I
beat
don't
up,
know,
dude.
man. I don't know, man. I just don't think it's wise to be pushing, testing fate like that. Um, but I actually wholeheartedly agree with you. I think pro wrestling as a whole has lost something, and there's a few guys who are trying to fix it. And I actually think they're going to win. because they're the ones who seem to be the most popular right now. And they're the ones who are blowing up right now. Like you said, LA Knight is blowing up. There's a reason he's
He's
blowing
a
up. It's
legitimate
not just
wrestler. Yeah.
because he's super charismatic and has a bunch of catchphrases. He does, and that's all well and good. But there's a reason for it. People see something in him when he wrestles. They see something in the way he carries himself. They see something in his aura as a star. That all that stuff has just been gone from wrestling for so long. Or you'll have one or two guys who have it, and everybody else is a joke. And that's just not acceptable. You can't have that. That's not how the world. That's not how it can work, right? All the
Yeah.
best periods in wrestling history, you had a card full of guys like that that had that. What's the word I'm looking for? Oh, that.
Je ne sais quoi.
Yes, there you go. That intangible, that thing. And then you had a few guys who had even more of it, right? Who are just at a different level.
Oh, sure.
And think I think honestly, for the first time in a very, very long time, wrestling is very close to a genuine boom period again. WWE has been selling out basically every show they've been doing for about 2
Yeah, the
years
crowds
now.
are loving it. That's true.
Yes.
I can't stand the sloppiness of
I
it.
think we're getting close to where that's going to correct itself because the guys who are going to be the ones you see more of are the ones who just aren't like that. They're just
Yeah.
cleaner workers, safer workers, and they know how to do the things that no one can teach you that you just have to learn how to do. And some
Right.
people just know how to do it like your Austins and your Gold Dusts and certain people just Kurt Angle, they just for whatever reason it just they understand the
The
game
physicality.
like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, they understand it and they can just pull it off.
Well,
But I genuinely think we're at the end of that sloppiness and at the end of I wanna say it's amateurish. That's
it
what
is
we've been
super
seeing is a lot of
amateur,
amateur.
and
Yeah.
I saw on some show I didn't even know it existed. They called it Fast Lane. They did have a
Yep.
couple of nice F1 or some kind of racing cars up front. That was nice. The
Yep.
production value is great. But I saw this match with some morons calling themselves the Street Profits. Some of the worst wrestlers I've ever seen. It was so bad. They can do the jumpy jump. They can do that,
Yep.
but they're not wrestlers. They have no wrestling skill. They're so sloppy, so messy. I felt bad for Ray. It's like, Ray, where have you found yourself in your life, little man? You must have made enough money. Please, sir, go
Oh, yeah.
back to your family. What is it, 719? Go back to whatever that area code is.
San Diego.
Yeah.
Um, no, Ray's, see, he's a good boy, good Christian boy, and he's the same wife his whole time, never been divorced. Raised his family, the whole deal. So he's got his money. Is my point. He didn't lose his money. He's sitting on a nice little nest egg, old Rey
They just
Mysterio.
can't give
I
they
think.
can't give it up. It's a you see
Yeah,
it
I
all the
just think
time. They
he can't
can't
do
give
it.
it up. Yeah.
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 Plus, he gets to wrestle with his son, which is pretty cool. That's got to be getting to
Yeah.
actually go out there occasionally, do stuff with your son.
Yeah, that is cool. But I mean, those just a perfect example of what I'm talking about. And Bobby Lashley was with them. I'm like, Bobby, what are you doing, man? These two jokes, I get
Well,
their comedy. I get they're supposed to be comedy, but they're not funny. I mean, if they're like Funkasaurus, right? We had the Funkasaurus. And he ended up being on a Fox News channel for years, which is
no.
interesting. But the Funkasaurus comes out, and he hated the idea of what they wanted to do, but he went with it because he wanted to work,
Yep.
and that was funny. And the kids love the Funkasaurus, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Of course they did. Of
Um,
course they did.
but I'm just
Uh,
saying, these profit guys, it's just not funny. And that idiot with the freaking pizza, I don't know who he is, but
pizza. Wait a minute. What?
no, it's just
What
some.
pizza?
I think he's part of that. There's like 3 member, house or club
Hmm.
that they're always playing instruments and dancing and being goofy.
Oh, New Day.
Yeah,
Okay.
New Day. I think it's one of those. And oh, I just want to slap the smile right off his face. I mean, what a dumbass. It's just lame, dude. It's not funny at all. It's not funny at all.
So, Chester,
Um,
here's what I want you to do when you get a free moment, if that ever happens in your life again.
you know,
Go look up AEW matches and find a Young Bucks versus Lucha Brothers match,
Hmm.
and you think WWE is bad, oh boy, you're gonna have a fit watching these guys. I'm just That's who I'd recommend if you want to see like really bad wrestling. Go watch them.
Well, Ben says, Thundera, we need to get Chet to watch the Young Fucks. I
Yeah,
think you
that's what I'm
mispronounced
talking
it.
about. Well, that's what he calls them. Yeah, no, they literally, Chester. I want you to understand. They're one of the founding members of AEW, right? With the Tony Khan and all these other people, the so-called elite. These
Uh-huh.
guys, because so many of the legends and the veterans and whatnot have said for years that what they do is, well, stupid and dumb and retarded and killing, literally quote, killing the business. They wrote a book, their biography of themselves, called "Killing the Business."
Of course.
That's how
That's how you
unserious they
make
are.
money.
That's how unserious they are. Yeah. And I'm telling you, everything you've just said about WWE's wrestling and about the old Street Profits, I actually like Montez Ford. I think there's potential there if they can get him something to do besides be in this group. Um, but everything you've said about them, these guys are 1,000 times worse.
Oh
A
God.
thousand.
And you wanna
So
torture me with this shit?
I
My
do.
time
I
is
need you to
precious,
watch
brother.
it. I
Uh,
need you to watch this.
Fine. I'm gonna grab some coffee. You talk to Grimlock, and then I'll go find a video and we'll watch it silently.
Oh
Okay. I'll
no.
be back.
I've done it now. I've done it now, Grimlock. I've convinced him to watch the Young Bucks. I
He's
don't know
gonna.
if you've been hearing him, but he's been ranting about
Oh,
WWE sloppiness for an hour.
I've been hearing him. I was listening, and like you said, if you think the current WWE product is sloppy,
Yeah.
brother, you ain't seen shit yet.
You just ain't. You ain't seen it. And it's wrestling as a
Because,
whole, man. It's crazy.
well, part of it is because a lot of those guys get right into the what people would call the big time now, whereas before those guys, years and years of working on their craft at lower levels. And then you got a group of people that you just can't tell them shit, like the
Yeah.
fucking Bucks,
Yeah.
who have been
Don't want to
sniffing
listen.
their farts because of the internet.
Yep. Yep.
And like I said, the AEW, where good, where their motto is, "I hope you got good health coverage." Because
I need Chester to get back here. We gotta tell him about Moxley getting dropped on his head twice in a row.
shit, fuck this. Lance Archer damn near killing himself. Remember that dumb shit?
Oh yeah, yeah, his moonsault where he landed right on top of his head. He's lucky. He is
And
lucky he didn't die. Lucky.
tried to continue the match.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, pro wrestling has been, and it's largely due to the amateurishness. And it's funny because on pretty much anything else, somebody like Jim Cornette and I probably would not agree, especially politics. We would definitely not agree there. However, when it comes to what we like in our pro wrestling, we're largely in concordance. And
Mhm.
I think he's completely correct. It's the amateurishness of it. They all look like amateur wrestlers. They don't look like pros. There's not very little actual psychology in it or anything like that.
No, because they're just doing shit just to do it. There's no, there's no rhyme or reason to what they do. They're just doing shit because they think they know what they're doing, and more often than not, they don't, or they're really sloppy at it.
Yeah, no, they're very, very sloppy. Sorry, my wife came in here and was showing me
Oh,
something. No, they're very, very, very sloppy, and it's a serious problem. Unfortunately, Edge is going to ruin his whole legacy by going there. And Ben asked in the chat, "How are we taking bets on how long he's going to last?" I think he's going to last less than Punk did.
I think he's not going to be as controversial backstage, but I say 10 months he'll be asking out.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think he has the what's the word? I don't think he wants it as much as Punk wanted it in the same way as I think Edge is perfectly cool with just stepping away. You know what I mean? Like he'll instead of
Yeah.
fighting over it, he'll just be like, "Nah, I don't need this. Screw this. I don't need this." Whereas Punk, he's got more of that dog in him when it comes to that kind of stuff. He'll fight over it, and different personalities. But it's a shame because I think had they listened to Punk, they would be where they thought they were going to be by now. AEW, as far as like their numbers would actually be growing instead of constantly shrinking, but they refused, abjectly refused to. So they are where they are, and the same thing's going to happen with Edge or anybody they bring in from the actual professional company, because I mean think about it, all the people they've brought in from WWE, the only two that they've used on a fairly regular basis, even moderately well. The only one they've used kind of well and then moderately well are Moxley, obviously has been champion a bunch, and Danielson, who they've completely misused. He's been face to heel like 4 different times in 2 years. They back and forth. He's had multiple world title shots, lost them all. How am I supposed to take him as credible or as anything when everything he does is lose? And then when he wins, it's typically just leading into a turn. Like there's no real weight behind him, no momentum. That's a good word.
But
behind
also
him.
beating somebody nobody cares about, like Zack Sabre.
Yes. Yeah. Unfortunately, the internet likes Zack Sabre Jr. I like Zack Sabre Jr. But he's nobody. Who's Zack Sabre Jr.? Nobody knows who he is in any kind of real situation. He is a independent Japanese wrestler, a very, very good one, but he's an independent Japanese wrestler. And like, why are we pretending like he just walked in here and had a match with Kurt Angle? Like, what are we doing? Calm down, people. Yeah. Relax. I would love for him to have a match with Kurt Angle if it could be possible, but unfortunately, Kurt's body just won't let him do it anymore. But that could be great, and I think we have a bugbear has returned.
Yes, you guys do what you're doing. I am looking for, let's see, some kind of dumbasses here. Let me see here.
Speaking of sloppy, let them watch a few hours of John.
So I need the young Fox. Okay.
No, the young Bucks.
Oh yeah, Bucks. Okay, young Bucks versus the Lucha Brothers.
Let's see what we got.
Okay.
We're gonna get to hear Chester die on live, in front of a live audience, people.
All right, here we go.
33-minute one. Oh, that's an actual whole match. Looks like.
Watch on Daily Motion. Why do I want to watch on Daily Motion? Whatever.
Void copyright.
Okay.
Oh no! This is look what you've done, Ben.
I am so excited about this.
Done.
If this not tag team match of the year, I don't know what is.
Oh, it's a hell
Your next bout will be a steel cage match for the AEW World Tag Team Championship. The only way to win will be by pinfall or submission.
So we're watching.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, these two teams have a long history against each other. They're each their greatest rivals. Here's a look back at their history.
Look who it is!
Right,
I know, it's the greatest tag team of all time, the Young Bucks. The EVP's extremely violent people.
Some people might think that the Young Bucks, their cockiness might go too far. They might be a little bit over the top, and it gets annoying.
The Young Bucks have bought into their own hype.
Tony Khan's informed me he's had enough, okay? And we're going to have a tag team tournament. The winner will get a world title shot in Chicago against you guys in a steel cage. Come on,
Because I've seen him wrestle on his own.
Were not anointed in this match.
This is the way to level the playing field and really give the Lucha Brothers a chance to win it.
I've had a lot of steel cage match experience in my career. It's unforgiving. It doesn't care about your hopes. The only thing the steel cage cares about is busting you open.
Yep. And he's paying money. I don't know where he's getting all this money. But why do you look like you're having sex with a man? That's probably not going to do it.
Brother! Daddy's money. That's where he's getting the money from.
Rich Jew, huh?
What's happening here?
Is he rich Eric? We got Devils. All right.
Hang it by a string. Settles up and down and say proud. Settle, yettle, animo, edo. Meet us in the ring with the Mexican Kings. It's the fight we bring. Ladies and gentlemen, Muelas de Gallo!
Otra vez están de vuelta otra vez. Puro Mex, por eso no van inglés. Los carnales que son el puro bistec. Lucha Brother, directo desde Catepec. Entra Fénix y Penta y la raza se pone violenta. Vas a recibir la cuenta antes de que te des cuenta. Ya saben quién representa. Haz cállate envidia. Esto es Lucha Brother, todos se queden en familia. Cero, miedo, ánimo.
This is gay. What are you doing? All right, we got a little bit of the Aztec. Yeah, kick it. Don't respect it. Okay. Oh, more of the gay. Oh, yeah, definitely, man. Bend over.
Meet us in the ring. We the Mexican Kings. It's a fight we bring. Hang it by a string. Zero's up.
Of course. They literally have a hip-hop entrance. Boy, they're taking an awful long time to get to the ring.
Puro Mex, por eso no va en inglés.
I mean, they're trying to
Los carnales que son el puro bistec. Lucha Brothers, directos desde Catepec. Entra Fénix y Penta y la cosa se pone violenta. Vas a recibir la cuenta antes de que te des cuenta. Ya sabe quién representa, así que cállate tu envidia. Esto es Lucha Bros, todos se quedan en familia. Cero, miedo, ánimo. Meet us in the ring. We're the Mexicans.
You know where the Aztecs
it's a fight we bring. Hang it by a string. Zero's up and down. And we say it proud. Cero, miedo, ánimo, edo. Meet us in the ring.
Literally, they migrated south.
It's a
Because remember, some big old huge disaster happened in North America. We don't know about it. Because when the Europeans came over to North America,
Introducing the challengers from Mexico City, Mexico, at a combined weight of 383 pounds.
It could have been, no, we don't really know. But down in Mexico or South America, there were led societies with roads and libraries, you know, all the kind of stuff that society has, right? They were dysfunctional, but North America
that was one of the most spectacular entrances I've ever witnessed, guys.
Migrated south to find better land.
Well thought out. The number one tag team in AEW, number one rank. With a 10-0 record, 14 straight tag team wins. The challengers are
man army to go and take them out.
And legitimately at a combined weight of 390 pounds, they are the AEW World Tag Team Champions. And Matt Jackson, the Young Bucks.
Young Bucks.
How absurd does Nick Jackson look right now?
He's gone bye-bye. I mean, he has.
I mean, I know the Lucha Brothers, at least they look a little better.
What a personality change these two guys.
So, the bottom hip-hop dude, Jesus, shave that. What is that?
Right now. The last time.
Did he do Jeff Hardy?
The Balor's on a pink suit or what?
You ain't Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy, first of all, we can't handle the amount of cocaine necessary to be Jeff Hardy.
Good brothers along for the ride.
Barry, you can. Jeff Hardy can't.
But Jeff Hardy, that is way out of control.
Tag team matches ever. Thank God for the cage to keep all the riffraff out.
Wow.
That's the good news.
I mean,
the bad news is the guy in the pink suit is going to make his way over here to us.
The last time
that's something you don't just tell Mick to watch it. You just don't do that. But please don't do it now because we need Mick to live a little longer. Victorious. Crazy bad.
Will history repeat itself here tonight?
So much more.
Well, the Bucks got 28 tag team victories in AEW overall. That's the most in AEW history.
What the fans giving you quite a ride?
Why would it?
So I'm going to see you breaking up that pink suit again.
Yeah, man.
There's several of them, Jim Ross.
Oh, right. It has been. So it must have been.
Okay, cage in place. Keep your ass out of the ring, guys.
Either that or glad that you and Jim Ross are here, Shabani, to call history when the Young Bucks formerly get rid of the Lucha Brothers once and for all and prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that they're the greatest tag team in the history of the world.
That's your plan to get
They
rid
can't
of the
hear me,
Lucha
right?
Brothers?
I want you to have
you
to
can come on the
say,
Discord.
I want Jim Ross's voice to call it when the Lucha Brothers get beat 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to sit back and enjoy it.
Why are you yelling?
I'm excited. I only call one match. I got a lot of energy.
Maybe I
If it happens, Don, if it happens, we'll call
due to a
it,
copyright
okay?
match.
But the good news is, if it happens, you won't see
Streams are
Anderson, you won't
interrupted.
see
Copyrighted
Gallows,
content
you
is
won't see
protected.
the
After
Stooge
copyrighted material
get
is no
involved.
longer being streamed. The streams are automatically enabled.
Door shut. Match is officially
so
underway.
if I stop this, then they're saying that it will be back up. Is that right?
Let's see.
Is that what you're telling me?
Let's see if it works.
All right, let's see.
If it works.
Just shut us down. All right, so let's go back over here. Let's go back over to the YouTubes. All right.
He's trying to see if he can get it to work. But yes,
It
apparently
still says live. It is running, actually. It didn't
apparently
stop running.
AEW's a very big trigger for YouTube.
Uh-huh.
That's funny.
But it is running. The stream is running. It's just not displaying anything. Well, I stopped doing your thingy there, lady. Okay.
Old Susan out to get you again.
Yeah, it is still running, so I wonder if they can hear me. Can you guys hear me in the chat? You might not just be able to show. Can you go check it, please?
I did tell him to. No, I don't think so because it just doesn't.
No.
I don't. Think
No,
so.
hear no sound.
I don't think
well.
so.
You can join the Discord. They can. That's funny, though. Let me come back over here to the other side. That's funny. Because I'm watching wrestling. I didn't even get to the wrestling, you dumbasses.
Didn't even get to the bad wrestling yet.
You just get to watch the people walk around.
Oh, look, I got a bunch of people showed up. Hi, people. We have been copyright struck. I'm still streaming, by the way. It is streaming.
According to YouTube.
And it says stream unavailable.
Yeah, but it is streaming. So I did what you told me to do.
See? Ben sabotaged the stream. I'm blaming him.
It is Ben. We'll blame him. Damn Joes. And he muted himself immediately. Hey, lady, what's up? Oh, goodness gracious. Nah, Ben is just nope. All right, be like that. Is it going to pop back up? You guys said if I stopped, it says streams are interrupted when copyright content is detected. After copyright material is no longer being streamed, streams are automatically re-enabled.
Hey.
Okay. I stopped streaming this highly illegal content of bad wrestling. Okay.
In a fair and just world, it would be illegal, Chester.
Oh, no. It is up and running. It is up and running. Yep.
I'm not in my room now. Let me check.
It didn't know it's working.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
It is working.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah. So we are good. Hello, everybody. Imagine that. Yeah, no, I'm a bad
It's
boy.
probably all the words and racial slurs in the songs that are playing.
I wasn't playing. There was no audio. I wasn't playing audio.
Oh.
Yeah, it's probably because I full screened it. But
they said they could hear the audio.
Really?
Mhm.
Oh, maybe that's. I thought I had muted it. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Back up. Sorry, YouTube. How dare I even look at
Sorry,
something?
YouTube overlords.
Yeah.
Sorry,
so
Google.
sensitive. What are they? I mean, it's on
From a
freaking
match from
YouTube.
2 years ago.
I was watching it off of YouTube.
They so sorry
They
for
were
using your
singing.
platform to watch your platform.
Mm-hmm.
They're so
The
sorry.
music, yeah.
So sorry. Yeah. So sorry.
But yeah, that match is from 2 years ago, and they're still that uppity about it. Like, chill out. But relax.
Yeah, whatever.
Have you seen
It's an
Tony Khan on
algorithm, dude.
social
It's
media?
just an algorithm. And matter of fact, tell us about algorithms in our life, Ben.
Oh no.
Ben?
We have now reached the algorithms and foreplay edition of the show.
That's right.
With Ben.
And Ben's the expert. He is
Yes.
the algorithm foreplay king. The ladies love it.
Oh no. Oh god. Something tells me he's out. You chased him off with that.
No,
comment.
lady jumped. Like, all right, that's enough of that. And Ben jumped too. No, Ben's back. Can you talk, Ben? You are the technical expert amongst us. Let me check. Yeah, everything's fine. You're not muted. Nothing's wrong on my side. It's your fault. Mm-hmm.
Silent boy.
Yeah, no, it's right, Roger. We're not allowed to do anything fun. We can't look at old film and do documentary. Technically, you can.
Well,
if I had the money and I wanted to sue him for that right there, I could.
Yeah,
they would keep me in court for years, but I mean, I would win in the end because I am allowed to do that. You are allowed to watch content and make commentary over it, which we were doing.
Correct.
This is actually legal.
As it should be.
Oh, there we go. We got a Ben. All right. Go ahead, try it.
Life is just miserable when you watch the Young Bucks.
Well, let me turn you up because you're very low. Okay, I put you at 200%.
Quiet man.
Yeah, you're super quiet.
How is the one whose literal profession is technology having these issues?
Couldn't hear that, but let me translate. Fuck yourself, Thundero.
I have a wife for that. Thank you.
Oh, very good. That's very good. That's true. Me too. They're handy for those things. And
They
cooking and cleaning and dealing with sympathy and shit. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Being human.
Yeah, you know.
Who's got time for it?
Yeah, who's got time for it? Yeah. She's the nice one. You know.
You know what's, Chester, I say this all the time and people don't believe me, but it's true. I'm the nice one in my marriage.
It depends. It's not a male or female thing. That is true. And if you want a good marriage, and more importantly, you want a good family. You know, because that's kind of the point. You know, for a lot of people is to make kids. I don't know what the dynamic for not having kids, but if you got kids, though, this is for that caveat. You need one of the parents to be super nice, gentle, kind, and the other one to be a hardcore disciplinarian. You need this combination. If you have both of the same, it ain't going to work well.
It's true. I agree.
And it doesn't matter who's which. It can be either way. So how you doing, Ben? Did you fix it?
I know, maybe.
Oh, there you go. There it is. I can hear. Now you're way too loud. I got to turn you down. Jesus. All right, you're back to 100%. Go ahead. Let me hear you. Yeah, it's breaking. I get like it's loud, and then it's like that. If that helps you, that's technical jargon. Everyone, I'm trying to help him troubleshoot this.
Clear.
Yeah.
Actual technical jargon.
Right there. Technical jargon. Yeah. But anyway, the point being is I'll watch that later and laugh at the bad wrestling. Yeah, I just don't understand. I mean, you're correct. The production value is just killer these days. It's wonderful. Imagine if we had it back in when I was young. But then again, that production value might be part of the problem. I mean,
it covers up a lot of stuff.
It does, and it also delays a lot because I watched a few things this weekend. I was just sick of the constant Israel feed, so I was just, I'm always working, so I have something going on in the other monitor, right? And I just was watching some wrestling, and I was watching these shows like Raw or SmackDown or stuff like that, and they had like maybe 3 matches, like 2.5 matches, really. And it's like there's not a lot of wrestling. So most of the time they're doing their stupid skits and their stories and pizza shit. And obviously Pizza Hut is a sponsor of the WWE, everyone. Obviously, you know how people laugh when you have a actor in a movie holds up and drinks a Bud Light. You know, yeah. Well, WWE has gone this route.
Yes. Yeah. Product placement. Yeah.
Product placement.
I must have missed the pizza skit. I don't think I watched Fastlane. If I remember right.
What is that? Explain it.
It's a well, they don't call them pay-per-views anymore, but it's one of their pay-per-views basically. They call them
That
PLEs.
was a pay-per-view? That crap? No.
Yes.
I thought that was just like a Thursday show or something.
No.
Oh, geez, dude. That was, oh my, I would be mad. If I paid for that,
Well,
I'd be mad, dude.
You only have to pay for Peacock, the streaming service Peacock, and then you get to watch all of them.
I see.
And I got a crazy deal last year around WrestleMania time because I wanted to watch WrestleMania on my big screen, and I got in Peacock for a whole year for only $30. I said, "Wow, all right, I got $30. That was pretty good."
But Peacock.
Yeah, it's the NBC's.
Yeah, I know what it is. I grew up with that stupid Peacock in my face all the damn time. We only had 3 channels, you know.
I do know. I grew up in the country. We only had nothing. We had no channels.
No channels.
You had to really finagle some things to get reception out there. Yeah, no, wrestling unfortunately has taken a turn, but I genuinely do think that we're on the cusp of something. As long as something crazy doesn't happen. I mean, the company was bought and sold, for crying out loud. So, I think they're real close to putting the pieces together. I think you've got a guy like Roman who's proven he's consistent and he's a big money draw. They just need somebody else to help, spark that flame a little bit. And I think we might see something that we haven't seen in 20 years, an actual genuine growth period for pro wrestling. Hasn't happened in a long time. They've been riding on the fumes of the Attitude Era since the Attitude Era. They've just nothing but shrink as far as like eyeballs. What WWE did, which was very smart, is they grew their global brand as their domestic brand got less and less attention.
Right.
Which was smart because it allowed them to keep their revenue at certain levels.
Well, you do need the juxtaposition because, like, for instance, there is no Dwayne Johnson without Steve Austin. It just doesn't have.
He's even said that.
Yeah.
By the way, he's very open about it. He understands fully that he wouldn't have been anywhere near as the star that he is today if it wasn't for Austin back in the day.
Yeah.
Giving him the hand up.
Because they did click a lot, and Austin had no trouble with that. He just Steve he's all about is this going to be a profitable venture?
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
I'm putting my body out there, so we got to make money on this. This is what he cared about. Some people kind of get on Steve of being a little bit of a whiner, taking his ball and going home, as it were. But I get his point of view. Right.
I think he was right. To be honest, he doesn't anymore. He says he was wrong the way he handled it, but I think he was right in his argument.
Yeah. How you doing, Ben? How's the mic over there? How you doing?
Any better?
It is better. Would you like to give us your opinion on how the Jews can save wrestling? That's the theme today.
I mean, isn't that what MJF is trying to do?
Good. Yeah. Who is he?
He's probably homegrown talent from AEW.
What's his name? His actual name?
Oh God. Thundero, help me here.
Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
Yes,
that guy.
Maxwell Jacob.
Yeah, no, he's legit. He's full on legit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, he is. Yeah.
And he needs to get the fuck away from AEW.
Yes, he does.
He needs to. Well, he is wasted there, and I mean, he just needs to go to WWE and start doing stuff over there.
Yeah, I'm shocked by the state of it. I every so many months I'll watch some wrestling, right? Because I don't have my kid in the house. When my son was here, we watched, and that was great because that was during the Randy Orton, Undertaker, all that stuff was still going on there, and my son loves Undertaker. It was good fun, but I don't have my kid in the house, so I don't watch it consistently anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't, and I'm disappointed.
And there's a lot of options out there right now, and life's too short to watch bad wrestling on AEW, frankly.
Yes, it is. I was watching.
I need that as a T-shirt.
Life's too short to watch bad wrestling. AEW.
Well, if you go back to the WWF versus what was the other big unit that McMahon took a long time to buy?
Oh, WCW or ECW?
WCW.
Okay.
That's the one Hogan and all them went over, and we got Hollywood Hogan on, right?
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It actually was really good for the WWF to have them doing so well because it pushes it. It's called competition, free market, and
Right.
all. Yeah. And AEW is not living up to the hype, and WWE is just being lazy, I feel. Because I mean, I several times over this past year, I've popped in and watched some wrestling, and it's bad. WWE wrestling is sloppy as shit, dude. It's not good.
Wow.
What they don't realize that they did was the rise of WCW. They fleeced all of the older, like, high market wrestlers from WWE, right? And in doing so, it forced the next generation to step up earlier, and that's where you get, like, just everyone,
Undertaker.
right? Yeah, The Rock and Steve Austin, Edge, and like a whole new generation, all to step up because WCW drained like all the elder wrestlers, and it really, I mean, and the thing was poised for that because they had all been learning on wrestlers, and so it was a really natural transition, right?
Right.
And so WCW really just kind of like killed themselves, right, by doing that.
In so many ways.
Yeah, but it made WWF better, though.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's
Vince
like
better.
it made Vince better.
Think about this though. We've mentioned Edge several times today, and I've never been a big fan, but I respect the love though, right? But just keep in mind that Edge came up and he read many vampire novels and encyclopedias to make sure he understood vampires, because Christian and some dude called himself Gangrel were doing a whole vampire thing. Remember, that's where he comes from. Now, Christian's long gone, thank God, his spider damn legs. I don't know where Gangrel disappeared to.
Gangrel still has the teeth, man.
Does he?
He does.
And Edge is the only one survivor. But who was that wrestler that played Gangrel?
Gangrel, I think.
Just Gangrel. That's all.
I think he changed his name to Gangrel. Yeah, he's
in.
He's in, huh? All right. Oh,
he's all in on the bit, dude.
Well, Blade was popular at the time. Let's be fair.
Christian is currently in AEW as well.
Yes,
and he is the TBS. Well, he quote unquote
needs to sit down and be a commentator. I don't want to see those damn legs ever again in my life.
The things
you're married. You don't need to be worried about his legs.
Dude, they're an eyesore.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, but it is the state of wrestling right now. It sucks, and I'm sure there's some smaller stuff that I know nothing about that are killing it, because the spirit of wrestling continues. And here in Japan, you see some good stuff every now and then. But the Japanese are just sideways in their brain anyway. So what do you want? I mean, they created Mick Foley,
right?
I mean, and
look
at the insanity of the man. I mean, I love me some Mick though.
Mickles is
now that's a body I can get behind.
Oh, poor Mick.
Now, Chet, we can't make fun of AEW too much because Tony Khan will come after us. He's proven that he
just did.
Yeah.
On Twitter and just go after everyone. So
good, come at me, bro. We can have some fun.
He's a little unhinged.
Is he? I mean, he's a true believer, huh? True believer.
A lot of cocaine in them veins.
Yeah. Well, that I saw this clip just the past few days, and it's I think a Canadian Quebecois He's speaking perfect English though, but he's got a very French name. It's a Canadian politician, and this journalist is trying to give him a hard time, and he just handled it and shut it down so beautifully whilst eating an apple. Oh, absolute Chad. I think a lot of people don't understand that. For a lot of us, yeah, we don't take it as seriously as you do, brother.
Yeah,
you know, especially this whole, killing Jews and death to Israel and all that kind of stuff.
I have a question for Thundero. Did you see the recent episode where Triple H came back to announce the new GM of SmackDown?
I did.
When he came out,
is it Paul Heyman? It should be Paul Heyman.
No, it's not Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman's committed to his tribal chief.
Yep.
There was a certain smugness in Triple H's step that I got a sense that he was kind of like enjoying a victory lap after having sort of defeated creative control.
Yeah.
Am I misinterpreting that?
There's definitely, I guarantee you that's in his mind, because this is Triple H we're talking about, and as much as he pretends he's not his actual character in real life, he sure as shit lives like him. So
totally.
I think there is some of that, but I think he just missed coming out in front of the crowd too. Like, he hasn't been able to do
absolutely.
it.
Yeah.
His heart literally shut down on him last year. So
wow,
that's whatever it
was. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, I don't know if you've been paying attention to the backroom drama, Chet, but ever since they sold to Endeavor, right? We were shocker because they kept Vince on the board, so we're like, oh god, he's sold, but he's still going to be in control. And apparently, the CEO of Endeavor is like, you're dipping in too much. You're spread too thin. Focus on one thing.
Yep.
Shoved Vince out of creative control, and they gave total creative control to Triple H at this point, right?
Well, let's let him run with it. See what he can do with it. I mean, the mustache though. The mustache.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
What is going on?
I don't know. Well, let's talk about his children for a moment. He's got a daughter, and she seems to be into the Hollywood stuff and the performance. And I don't know. I don't have much to say about her. But his son is slap insane. That's clear.
Well, have you met his dad? Have you seen his father? I'd be insane too if that was my father.
That boy, and I even heard Mick Foley in an interview talking about that boy. And he's saying, what's the boy's name?
Shane.
Shane, yeah. He said, yeah, Shane is fearless, but and a lot of people throw that title on me, and I reject it. Mick said, you see, I'm afraid all the time, but I do it anyway. Yes. That boy just doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, I don't care.
And this comes from Mick Foley. That carries a lot of weight, right?
I remember there's a story of Shane McMahon. It was one of the times where he jumped from a really, really, really high, stories high height, and he was upset that they had to make the stage smaller to fit in the building. Basically, the marshals or whatever made him make it smaller because he was supposed to jump from the top of it. He still ended up jumping from the top of it, but it was 20 feet lower than he wanted it to be.
Oh, okay.
And it was, he's just not. He's an insane person. Why would you be mad? I wanted it to be 80 feet, not 60. I'm not happy. Psychopath.
Yeah, psychopath. Yeah.
He got it from his dad.
Yeah, he probably. What about the daughter though? Is she more grounded? You think? Because she and Triple H are legitimately married. They've been married a very long time.
She has her stuff too, but I don't know how often you listen to Jim Cornette, but he on his YouTube page he has a because Corny's actually a comic book nerd too, so when he does certain playlists he compiles them into omnibuses, and he has an omnibus of Vince McMahon stories, and if you want to hear some of the most hilarious shit you've ever heard in your life, you got to hear some of the Vince McMahon stories that Cornette has told. Like one of the ones where Vince paid $1,000, I think it was $1,000 to get a cable man to come out to his house to press the mute button because Vince, who is rich and as smart as he is, did not know that televisions came with a mute button.
What?
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
I believe it, though. I believe it, though. I believe that. He should have just called Randy. It would have been cheaper.
No, he paid the cable man. He's like, the TV hasn't made sound in over a day, and the cable and he goes, fucking hilarious.
Yeah, no.
There's also a story of him daring the Road Warriors to hit him with the Doomsday device in a bar in San Antonio.
Oh. Yeah. These guys are masochists. You do realize that.
Yeah. Crazy people. What's interesting, you brought up Shane, his son. He has a son who's now of age.
Yeah.
He's a college football player, and his name's Declan.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good practice.
That's an interesting name there, Declan, that they went with. But he was just recently talking about that he would love to one day, get in and wrestle and be in the WWE, but he wants to make sense for why he's there. He doesn't want to just show up and do it. That could be interesting because Vince, effectively right now, for the first time ever, this company is not a McMahon company. It is its own beast now. Yeah. And that could be very interesting to have a McMahon, the grand prince of the family, as a wrestler there.
Yeah, well, if he puts the work in, right? If he puts the work in, and keep in mind, the football is
that boy's pretty big.
Pretty big boy. Well, I mean, and keep in mind that football is a really good training to become a wrestler. I mean, Dwayne Johnson was a bencher trying to make the pros, couldn't. Family said, "Well, just do the family business then," and he did.
A ton of them have come from football.
A lot of them, yeah.
Vader, Ron Simmons, Pillman, Luger, JBL.
Well, Luger, let's be fair. Luger came out of Vince's desire to see sweaty, oiled men in
bodybuilding. Luger was a football player way before that.
Yeah, no, he was. I know. Yeah.
Way. He was.
Vince has a type, and he has something he likes to see. He likes to watch big, meaty men slapping meat.
Yeah, no, fair. He does. The thing with it is when we talk about all these injuries, these guys reduce their body fat to such an extreme level that they make all their ligaments and tendons, the tendons so tight that they just get so much more injury. If you go look at some of the heavier guys and compare their injuries, the guys that carry a little bit more fat, you compare their injuries to some of these, like say Lex Luger, it's not even close. Having some fat on you really kind of protects you from that. And it's, and I know they put the weight on in the past simply so they could have a little bit more push. But there's something to that. And just keep in mind, tendons are muscle connecting to muscle and ligaments are bone to bone. Just so that's, yeah. But I mean, seriously, we see a lot. Like there was that who's that big old dumb boy? I mean, he plays a dumb character, but I really think he is dumb. He's a big old ball of a muscle man, and he had 2 Usos on his back, and he ripped the shit out of his knee, just literally tore the ligament.
Oh, they just fired him actually, Boobs.
Boobs. His name is Boobs.
Oh, his name is Boobs. Rick Boobs.
Yeah, Boobs. I just said boobs. As in tatas.
No, not boobs. Boog. With a G at the end.
Oh, boog. Boog.
Yeah.
Boog.
Yes.
Well, you need to emphasize the g.
But they
like
just fired him. They just let him go.
Man, if your name is Bob Boobs, though, I'm on board.
Oh yeah, but he's a beast. He is a beast.
Yeah, he's a beast. Yeah, but he's too much, dude. They push themselves too much, man. But anyway, I got a little time left, so I did have a few things I wanted to cover today, and it's already up, so let me just go ahead and get into it here. I think there's some interesting things here that are relating to, just some interesting things I saw. This right here being the main one. Go ahead.
Tara Strong claims she was fired from Boxtown for being Jewish. Studio clarifies decision made over her comments regarding Israel-Hamas conflict.
Okay, well, first of all, what's a Boxtown?
No idea.
Anybody? Anybody?
Well, so they clarified it was a animated show that was kickstarted. They weren't funded for that many episodes. So they were like, yeah, we ran out of money. Like, we were only Kickstarted to do like 1 or 2 episodes, and that's what we did. We didn't fire you. We just didn't have any money to make any more episodes.
Well, that's not what they say, though. That might be the truth, but that's not what they say. So she's just a character, a voice actor, and of course she has an opinion. Obviously she's a Jew. But if you come down here and all of this kind of Twitter and back and forth, we do have a statement from Boxtown. As some of you may have heard, Tara Strong is no longer involved with Boxtown or Bandit Mill Animations and will no longer be voicing the character Bill the Orphan. The decision was due to a trend among Tara's recent online activities, including posts that promote controversial messages regarding the peoples of Palestine currently being affected by the ongoing Israeli-Palestine crisis. And they say some other stuff. But over here it says, our hearts are with the Palestinians and Israeli children and families being affected by the ongoing conflict. People should be able to live freely without being threatened by constant abuse and terror. We are hoping for the best. Yeah, well, that's kind of what Israel's trying to deal with there, buddy. It's kind of the point, because, one thing it keeps getting stated by the Israelis and Jews around the world is a very, very truthful statement. Now, understand everyone lies. The Israelis and Jews have their cultural way of lying, and the Muslims do too. One of the things the Muslims do a lot is throw some dust on a kid and say, oh, it's hurt. They lie about this all the time. Every culture has their way of lying, and so do the Jews. But this thing right here, one statement is very true. If the Palestinians and the other Muslims put down their guns, there would be peace in the Middle East. Because the Jews don't want anything to do with it. They're sick of it. They just want to go on about their gayness. They want to be gay. Let them be gay in the Middle East. Okay?
Well, that's going to be a problem.
Well, I'm just saying, right? But on the other hand, if the Israelis put down their weapons, there'd be no more Israel. Plain and simple. Right? This is a very truthful statement. So, I mean, do you feel bad for little kids getting hurt or people being hurt in the situation? Sure, of course we all do. And except for terrorists, they clearly don't give a shit. But of course we feel bad for it. But what do you? I just don't understand. What do you expect Israeli to do? I mean, what do you expect them to do? What happened was absolutely abominable in every conceivable aspect of the definition of that word. It was really bad. They have to defend themselves. They have to root out Hamas. How would you say they do it? Do you think some international body from the United Nations is going to manage it? Do you think? They do nothing but get taxes done and bitch about Marxist issues. They're completely useless and bought. So what do you expect the Israelis are part of that? We all know. Right? But what do you expect them to do? So you saying that she supports Israel, she stands with Israel, which is ultimately her statement, just so you know. And somehow that's a bad thing. You sit here and you say Israeli children and Palestinians and Israeli children, but yet she said, I stand with Israel. So clearly you don't. But my point is, we've seen, I put this up, this particular article, because I don't know anything about this. I don't know anything about her. It's not even the point. The point is we have seen a lot of Jew hate, a lot of legitimate Jew hate. And these progressive wokies, they've kind of taken the bar too far. Now, Ben, you kind of fall in the category of, I don't know, Dave Rubin and Sargon of Akkad, maybe. You kind of fall in that liberal side. So therefore,
I love how Thundar's cracking up at that.
Yeah, but anyway, you're a liberal person. But I mean, isn't this disgusting you? What you're seeing?
Dave Rubin.
Yeah, it's. I think we have a general problem of having very short-sightedness on history.
Yeah, you think?
And And I can totally understand being empathetic to the people of Palestine and stuff like that.
Sure. Yeah.
However, if you take a longer look at history and how things have been going over there have been several attempts to legitimize and do the two-state solution that gets rejected multiple times every time.
5 times.
By Hamas and those of like Hezbollah and stuff like that, right?
PLO.
And so so when you say that if they put their arms down there'd be no more, like, that's true, right?
Very
I mean,
true.
like, and we don't have to, there is propaganda either way, right?
Sure.
We don't have to take Israel's word for it. It's in their writing. Like, we want to eliminate all of them.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like, that's from the horse's mouth. Like, that was their like core stance.
Yeah.
Right. It's only relatively recently that they were like, oh, we need to soften it. So we just want to get rid of all the Zionists or something like that, right? I think they corrected it or they, but even then, it still doesn't sound good, right? Go ahead.
Well, here's the problem with getting rid of the Zionists. That's the same thing. That's what Zionism's about.
Well, you got to go to Europe for that to start with.
Well, my point is, if you're going to get rid of the Zionists, you're going to do the same. It's the same thing, right? That's a very clever way of basically saying kill Israel without saying kill Israel.
Well, dude, do you know how many morons I saw in these Karens walking in these Palestinian marches, holding up signs that said "From the river to the sea"? Do they not understand what that means?
No, they do.
Oh.
They know what it means.
Well, and it's really weird too, because we're seeing like this weird fascination with like reinventing like Hamas and Hezbollah. There was that one social commentator, I forget her name, but she's a leader of the LGBTQ community, and she's like, Hamas and Hezbollah are like progressive movements. Is like, no, they would kill you,
They'd
right?
kill you quick,
It's like, so it's like, what do we like? Again, this is what I was talking about. It's like we have such a weird there's such a weird short-sightedness of history. Like, you're not like, again, I can understand being supportive of the Palestinian people, but these two organizations, Hamas and Hezbollah, that ain't it. That ain't it, right? This is not what you want to side with.
And you need to understand, how do you separate the two in Gaza? Because Palestine, there are a huge number, the majority of the people in Gaza support Hamas. And this is something you don't see the media talking about at all. Are there people there who don't like it, who don't like violence, who don't like all the hate? Of course there are. Of course there are. But they are dissidents who are in danger every day, whether the Israelis are involved or not. The majority of Palestinians support this. They elected them. They allowed them to stay in power. Every time they do one of their atrocities, or any other Muslim jihadi group does one of their atrocities, they literally dance in the streets, literally. So I don't know what you expect Israel to do. Of course, when we see people who are innocent being hurt, it's bothersome. Of course it is. But I just don't understand what you want to do, because what is your solution? Because these companies like this, we stand with Palestine. We've seen so many of these asshole progressive groups, we stand with Palestine. It's like, okay, what's your solution then? How would you fix this? How do we fix it? Do we kill all the Jews? Is this the solution? We just kill all the Jews and then the world's at peace? Do you think that would be the end of it? I mean, maybe.
I mean, it kind of feels some way that's what they're almost advocating for, right?
It is, right? I mean, that's what it sounds like. That's what it sounds like. You can't hold a sign and march down and with a sign that says "From the river to the sea" and not want that. And the simple thing is, I've said this before, but God damn it, my entire life I have heard people chanting, Islam is a religion of love and peace, my entire freaking life. And at the same time, those same assholes that tell me that Islam is a religion of love and peace, marching down the street saying death to Israel, kill all Jews. You can't have your cake and eat it too, dickhead. You can't.
Well, Chester, that's what they mean by peace. Peace and quiet. All the Jews are gone. They're fine then. That's what they mean. You're just confused. That's all.
All right, fine.
This is a further indictment that we could solve 80% of the West's problems if we just shut up white women.
Oh my God!
I keep saying it into you pale faces.
Yeah.
Get your bitches back in line.
It's fair. It's fair.
Because
it's fair.
Yeah, so many problems. No, because you just said it. You got white women out there carrying these signs, have no fucking clue what they're talking about.
No, they
would be the first entree on the rape platter.
Well, have you seen some of those Karens? I don't know about that. You know, but you know, the discerning nature of terrorists and all.
Have you seen them? Have you seen a rapist? They're not.
Well, that's true. That is true. But you got to understand, Grimlock. You can't lump me into that. I was a smart boy. I didn't. You yell at Ben and Thundero. They married white women's. I didn't.
True, but in fairness,
I constantly remind Thundero that until they get their fucking.
He does. It's true.
Until they get the bitches in line.
I married a short little Irish immigrant girl. Well, she's not immigrant, but her family's an immigrant girl. So she's barely a white American, in my estimation. I don't know about Ben's situation. I think he married an Australian, so that's totally different. That's a totally different beast.
I don't remember. There. I mean, everyone's short from my point of view, but I don't remember her being that small. Yeah, I get it, Grimlock. But I don't remember her being that small. Ben, she's not so short, is she?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I didn't think so.
You're not short, right, honey? Yeah. Yeah, you're not short.
She is or not?
No.
No. I remember her being pretty normal height. But Thundero married a midget. Yeah.
Don't hurt Chet.
Yeah, okay. You just put words in my mouth. Go for it. Anything that helps you out, buddy. You know, the funny thing is, my wife is short, but she's quite tall for a Japanese, though.
How tall is she? Tell me.
I don't know, 5'3".
That's taller than my wife by 3 inches.
Oh wow, my mom was like 5'2". But she's perfect height. She comes right into the crevice of my pec. It's just right.
Just right.
It's a perfect spot
in there.
Yeah, just
like a kangaroo.
Right yeah, it's perfect.
Right up in the pouch.
Very, very nice. Yeah. But you know, one thing I got to give him, Ben, over here in Japan. You know, you lived here a while. The Japanese, for the most part, are just staying out of it and don't have an opinion.
That's good.
Yeah, it is good because they don't. I think they're confused. They don't really understand why.
More people need to have the opinion of I don't have an opinion. I think that.
Oh my God, so much. Like, do people not realize that it costs them nothing to just shut the fuck up and wait for more information?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. See, if y'all just had done this with your white women 60 years ago, we wouldn't be having this discussion today.
Oh God. You know, I don't know. I don't know the white. I've dated a bunch of white women, but I never married one, so I don't know.
I'm telling you, whoever runs on the Repel the 19th ticket has my vote.
Repel the 19th. Repeal the 19th. What's the 19th?
Repeal, execute it. I don't give a fuck what you do with it. Get rid of it.
What is the 19th? Help me out.
You could. That's women voting. That's the one that gave women the franchise.
Women's suffrage. Okay. Okay.
I like Repel. That should be the way they word it too.
Just
Repel
push it away. Get rid of it.
Get out of here.
Yeah. Or maybe do it Australian style. Face first.
Yeah.
That's got that's a multi-level layer joke. That was a good one. Yeah, but anyway, I mean,
but no, because to bring it back to the beginning.
Yeah.
I would almost feel sorry for Tara Strong, but being the loudmouth white woman that she is, because it's the kind of behavior that she's encouraged came back and bit her in her ass.
That is happening. Yeah.
And I like Tara Strong. I respect her career. She's done a fuck ton of stuff, and she's a pretty good looking woman for her age. Would shag.
Okay.
But the moment until she opens her mouth for anything other than swallow.
It is interesting how many. It's interesting to me how many people you see this happen, especially when stuff like this happens, where you have like Ben was just talking about it. These people who because they are so invested in their particular version of an ideology, when an obvious answer that goes against the people who share the same, who are allies to them, comes forward, they can't move. They have to stay in their lane. And what happens is you reap what you sow is a universal truth. And now you have a whole lot of stuff like Grimlock's talking about where people have reaped a whole bunch of nonsense, said a bunch of stuff, and now look where you're at. Now you got a bunch of foot in your mouth.
Are you telling me I should feel bad for progressives?
No. I'm telling you, this is just another case of you get what you fucking deserve.
Yeah.
Like I said, I respect her. She's done a ton of voice acting work in her career. She's the voice of millions of children's childhood. But the behavior she was in favor of, and she because people hated Trump, and I don't give a fuck whether you like Trump or not. The behavior around him was abhorrent.
Yeah,
I don't give a
abhorrent.
fuck.
It was. You're right.
But
That's true.
And people like her encouraged it because we're on the right side of history until history came around to your fucking tribe, and now it's feel sorry for me. Nah, bitch. If you'd shut the fuck up to begin with, you wouldn't be in this position. This is just enough further evidence that if you shut fucking white women up, we wouldn't have these goddamn problems.
Just so you know, YouTube, the opinions of my guests are not necessarily that of the host.
You know what's interesting, Chester? You know, we have this turn of phrase.
I'm running on the ticket. If she's not asking you what you want to eat for dinner, the bitch is talking too much ticket. That's what I'm running.
You are clearly not married. Clearly. That's the most unmarried statement I've ever heard in my life.
I'm not saying she has to cook it. I'm just saying she got to ask what you want.
I'm just saying you don't understand women. I can tell that's for damn sure.
Oh, I understand it. That's part of the problem. I understand them better than they do themselves.
He's saying words, and I have my wife in here in these cute little shorts just bouncing up and down right now. She's juggling a cat.
Oh yeah. My wife does jazzercise, and she loves her. She has designer yoga pants. Oh, yeah, those are good. Yeah, I like them.
I like yoga pants. See, that's why we keep them around, right?
That's
why, because they
Yeah,
they make your brain shut off. You're just like,
you have to be more subtle.
She's not talking while she's doing that. See that? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I get
she's
it, but
not talking right.
Yeah, but I get it. But it's a little more tact and subtlety and cleverness needed to actually deal with the female. But I get your point. And I'm kind of they're at a bit of a crossroads, I'd say, because particularly in America, Europe, I'm not sure as well, but in America, because I've said this before, America is a Jewish culture state. We may well be a Protestant religion whether you are or not, it's in your brain, but we are a Jewish culture simply because we grew up on all these Jewish movies and TV shows. All our humor and our ideas are very Jewish, Yiddish, Ashkenazi, in its foundation. We just are. And even though we've talked about the propaganda that flipped it from Christians hating Jews to now that the American Protestants are desperate to protect them, whatever that may be, who cares? The reality is the Americans 100% will support Israel almost to the last person. So you got a problem that you're doing your progressive thing that anybody who you feel is oppressed, which they don't care about the Israeli oppressed, but whoever's oppressed, you have to defend against the evil whiteness. But now you've run into a problem that the Americans have been kind of putting up with your shit for several years here, but this is you're making a push that ain't going to go well for you this time.
Here's the other problem, right? Is I've said this before. We've seen it happen. A lot of that like hardcore wokeness, as it's called, really super far left, crazy identity politics stuff. That is a symptom of affluenza. When times are going okay, people can tolerate it. We don't care. We can deal with it. We can talk about it. We can have this stuff. When the shit hits the fan, all of a sudden, nobody cares about what bathroom to use anymore. All of a sudden, that's not a priority when things are actually in trouble. And what happens is you get in these situations. These people have been in this weird ideological bubble talking about whiteness and all this other stuff and how white people did this, that, or another thing. And there are genuinely people out there. I've talked to them. You see them online in videos who genuinely believe that the problems of the world stem from white supremacy. It is the devil. It is the end all be all evil, whiteness, white people, blah, 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 blah. And then you get a bunch of brown folks who are Islamic, who are being very much bad guys, and their brains don't know how to handle it. And they make ridiculous statements, and they do stupid things like march down the street calling for genocide of an entire country.
Right.
Like, what are you doing?
People. But
Fix
no,
your brain.
the Islamists are the problem. The Muslim isn't necessarily, right? It's the
Correct.
Islamists that's the issue. That's true. But Roger did ask a question. He says, Chester, I got a question for you. Why is China buying up all their stock and bonds? Well, China's bubble is popped, and they're in full-on economic free fall. There's an absolute collapse going on. Yeah.
If we get a couple claps, Arkansas, of all places, did a good thing, or at least I think it was a good thing. I didn't look deep into it. But on the surface, it looks like a good thing.
Sarah?
And they're basically, yes, she's repatriating all of the land from the Chinese Communist government that they own in Arkansas.
Yeah, she's
Taking it-
kind of she's done a few things
We'll be having
lately.
that back.
Yeah,
I
we're
like,
having
I
that
like
back.
your style.
And she's also made it illegal to use these woke terminology like pregnant people and stuff like that. Yeah, she's hardcore. She's worse than her daddy. I mean, geez.
Pregnant people.
You know,
It's
it is ludicrous. But you are getting pushbacks. We're seeing a lot of pushbacks. But the thing is,
No, I just think that's a good thing, though. I think we need
Sure.
to see more of that. I think it's something that most of the left and the right in America especially can agree on, that foreign countries, especially evil ones, don't need to be owning land here. Like
no,
that,
I agree
especially
with that.
farmland.
Florida,
That's
DeSantis is
it's
going to do
silly.
something similar, I think.
Yeah,
And a lot of
silly.
states need to do that. But and they're in full free fall. I mean, China's in really, really, really bad shape, and who knows what that's going to create. But we'll have to keep an eye on it. But it kind of everyone here is mentioning, and it brings us right back to this whole, Israel Palestine thing, or just Israel Middle East thing. I think we should just broaden it, right? Is if we all just let each other have the opinions we want, as long as you're not hurting anyone, right? Have the opinions you want and just leave it at that. Because we can't, right? Because see, I don't have any problem with someone wanting to dress up like a woman and live that way. I could go ahead, dude. You do you. I don't have any problem with that. I don't have any problem with some conservative person that's saying like, "Well, I don't want none of them blackies around me." All right, well, it's stupid, but okay. I don't have a problem. He's not hurting a black person. He just don't want him around him, or whatever, and everything in between, right? Let people be whatever they want to be, as long as they're not hurting anyone, and
Well, here's
just
where you run into a
chill,
problem.
dude. Just chill.
We have an honesty problem.
My liberal
in the
came
West.
out, Ben.
Here's where you run into a problem with that, though, is you have to define, because unfortunately this is a dispute, and my friend Ben here and I have had these disagreements. You have to define your terms. What do you mean by hurt? Do you mean that just somebody
Cause
has an opinion?
harm. Cause harm.
I agree with you, but that's the argument they're going to make. What do you mean by hurt? What do you mean? What does cause harm mean? Like, you have
Hurting
to be
someone.
really
Causing
autistic with
pain,
it.
injury,
Well,
death, economic destruction,
I have
whatever.
your answer for you. Are you ready? Are you
Yeah.
ready? It's very simple. It's very simple. Hang on 1 second. It's very simple. Imposing a cost on someone else.
Sure.
You can do whatever
Okay.
you want, think whatever you want,
I'll
live
go with
however
that.
you want, as long as you impose no cost on another.
Yeah, but I
Then
mean,
you can't weasel out of the fact of whether or not it actually caused harm. It doesn't matter.
oh, okay,
If that
well, that's
person
fine.
has no
Eh,
material loss because of it,
Yeah, but that's a
then they can do
potato
what they want.
potato. All right, fine. I'll go with that.
But
Uh,
that's how legalese works.
Yeah, no, I get
That's
it.
why you have a
I get it. I see the stupid arguments all the time, but I'm just saying that we
Yeah.
humans just can't seem to get there. It's like, just chill, dude. You go stick with your group and do the thing you want to do, and leave them alone. What do you
Well,
care?
as-
They're not doing shit to you. Leave them alone.
Well, as mentioned earlier, no, because we have had such good times relative in human history to
amazing. Yeah, it's been a long time.
That's not enough for people. Like you said, you're saying as long as it doesn't cause anybody, it doesn't hurt anybody. But yes, when you have people who come up with the phrases, silence is violence, and you not liking something is literally killing such and such a group.
Well, that's what I'm standing against. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So basically, it's like, okay, like Thundaro said, where does this shit end? We had, if I'm not mistaken, at one point our founding fathers wrote down, you can the ability to swing your fist ends where my nose begins.
Yes.
To paraphrase it.
Oh well, that's fair.
Yeah.
Well, Ben,
but for a lot of these people, like I said, people like Tara Strong, these activists, pick whatever activist group that you want, because they all come from the same cloth. It's never enough. It'll never be enough. But at the same time, the behavior they encourage has every single time has come back to bite them. Whether it's Tara Strong,
that always
James
does that.
Gunn, or it always comes back. Even with Jewish people. 1 minute they're not white people, then the next minute they're part of white supremacy, and it's like, well, what? Pick a lane for them.
Go back 100 years, and they certainly weren't white. Anyway, Ben, I got a question for Ben. Let me ask Ben a question. Okay, Ben, I got a question for you. You're a reasonable man, not like these Philistines. You tell me, Ben, in your life, have you ever given a shit if someone was gay or not? No. Have you ever cared who someone else votes for?
Cared who someone else votes for?
Yeah. I mean, actually care.
I guess not. I mean, I've been disappointed,
sure,
but not like,
But you're not going to be driven to action, right?
No.
Have you ever cared if someone worshipped some god or another?
No.
Have you ever cared that someone stupidly was a Quasar fan?
I mean, that hurts all of us.
That's fair. That does hurt all of us. But you know what I mean?
Hold on. I'm going to borrow from Thundaro. It incurs a cost on all of us.
It does.
That's true.
It does incur a cost on all of the Quasar.
You need to ban Quasar. Yeah,
ban Quasar.
I agree.
I'm 100% on board. But I'm just saying that most human beings have different opinions because of the culture they grew up in, and that's okay. It's okay.
It's actually a beautiful thing.
That's actual diversity. Okay, you see.
But again, we're talking about the people who have made it not okay to say that.
I know we are, and they're idiots, just like these. Yeah, go ahead.
Like you said about, okay, he doesn't care if somebody's gay, doesn't care if somebody votes for.
Well, who cares?
But at the same time, those same people, when you say if you say, well, what do you think of this? I don't care. If you say, I don't care to see that. Oh, what are you, some kind of bigot? Because I don't want to see something? That's a lot of things I don't want to see. Yeah. You know what I don't want to see? I don't want to see somebody serve me a fucking peanut butter and banana sandwich. That doesn't make me a bigot. I also don't want to see two grown men fucking busting slob in the middle of the street.
I don't know what any of that meant, but I'm going to just say, okay.
A peanut butter banana sandwich? I can explain that. You take bread, you put peanut butter on it, and then you cut up bananas and put it on there.
Oh, yeah.
Put them together.
Yeah.
That's how
and what was the second one?
Busting slob? Make it out, man.
Well, say it again. Enunciate more clearly, please.
Be very New York.
The phrase busting slob, making out.
Busting slob. Now, I lived in New York, and I don't recall that term at all.
You, sir, were you black in New York?
Give me a moment. Let me think here. No. The funny thing is, where I grew up, well, I moved around, but where I grew up as a kid, I had more black kids around me and more black friends than I did when I was in New York, though. And it's weird because I was a musician, so you would assume that I would have plenty of black people around me, but no. A lot of Jews, though.
Then you should be familiar with the phrase draws too, because that's what black in New York. That's what we use instead of saying underwear.
Oh, I know draws. Yeah, I know draws. I know that term. Yeah, I know that term. Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know, but because I did a lot of bar mitzvahs.
Well,
them Jews pay well, dude. Up in the Upper East Side.
Mm-hmm. Tel Aviv's the sequel.
Yeah, no.
There's so many Jews living there.
Sure. Oh, yeah. But it's the best bagels on earth, man. See, I mean, why would you want to kill an entire people that make such good food? I mean, come on.
They made the bagel. They did make the bagel.
Jewish bagels, Jewish potato salad. Oh my God, delicatessens. Just in general. Why would you want to do that?
You're not allowed to hate people who make great food.
No, that's the new rule.
Okay. So how we solve this conflict is we get the Palestinians and the Israelis together and say, look, instead of killing each other, you should kill the British, because do you see the shit that they eat?
Yeah, they are the problem. It's true.
Yeah.
Especially their culinary habits. We can't, listen, that imposes a cost on my eyes, watching people eat that. It's unbelievably repugnant that a whole nation of people somehow decided to eat all the worst things at once.
And being our local Ashkenazi agrees, kill all British. So, not to put words in your mouth there, Ben, but I feel you, brother. I feel you. No, I haven't heard drawers in a long time, Grimlock. Wow, it's been forever. How did that come to be? I guess you're taking them out of the drawer. I don't know where that came from, but yeah, I know that term. Yep.
Yeah.
Listen, words have come from stupider places. That is for sure.
Oh, language is created by the common man. It's not created by smart people. Yeah.
No.
But anyway, let's see. I got another story here. I got a couple stories I wanted to cover that I thought were interesting. So let me bring this back up. And this right here. This is exactly what we're talking about. Just let me give you a preamble here. We've been talking about the ridiculous nature of these progressives. They must be incredibly confused right now. They don't know which way to turn. They're so desperate. There's so many hot and horrible things going on in the world. So you stand with Israel. You stand with Palestine. How about Sri Lanka? What about Burma? What about Somalia? How about Sudan? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Who exactly do you stand for? Please, let's have a ceasefire. Well, who would you like to cease fire? Is it just the Israelis, or how about Hamas? They have not stopped firing missiles, by the way. Lebanon shoots off missiles every day, all day long. So, I mean, who do you want to cease fire? How about Ukraine and Russia? Which one of them should cease fire? How about Donbass and Lugansk? They're fighting too. Should they cease fire? What about over in Inner Mongolia? Should all that nonsense stop? Who exactly do you stand for? I'm sorry. We're done arguing that for a sec, because we have some other stupid, inane bullshit to deal with. Go ahead, Thunder.
SAG-AFTRA, talk about stupid, inane bullshit, announces outfit rules for Halloween, tells striking actors to avoid, quote, costumes inspired by struck content.
Struck content.
I'm going to give you 3 clues who came up with that shit.
Well, no, exactly. But no, hold on a second. Now, hold on. Let's take a look at struck content. This is very important. How this Halloween, we don't want to represent improperly for SAG-AFTRA. So I'm going to start with Ben. I'm going to go around. So Ben, would you like to guess what the struck content is?
Oh no. Ben, he's still here. Ben died. Hopefully Ben didn't.
Ben?
Ben is probably being a dad right now.
That's okay. Grimlock, what do you think the struck content is?
Struck content. I'm assuming.
What costume can you not wear because it's inappropriate?
I'm assuming anything that was worn by somebody black.
Well, that covers the entire world, because you know how flamboyant your people are.
Yeah, I wish they'd cut that shit out too, because goddamn, there's some fucking eyesores out here.
Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. So that's his guess. Anything that black people wore. Okay. Thundera, what do you think the struck content for costumes is?
I'm gonna stay in my lane, Chester, and say anything to do with my people, the tribal American Indians. Can't have that.
Can't have no Indians. No Indian costumes. That's too bad, man.
Yeah,
I've never actually worn one of those. That would be cool, though. They have those, like we were watching the Lucha Brothers. He had a great headdress. I wouldn't mind a headdress like that. I'd wear that. Ben, are you back? Would you like to tell me what you think the struck content for costumes this Halloween is for SAG-AFTRA?
He had to go put his kids to bed.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's not called it.
That he's just being a dad. Well, he is watching the kids. So let me tell you what the struck content is. It's nowhere near as expected as you would imagine for what they just said. Stuff that is culturally inappropriately. You're stealing people's culture, as if that means anything. Show me one culture on Earth that is actually its own culture. I mean, but anyway, I don't want to get into that. This is what they went with. They're wrong, though. Do you know what it is? Anything that is a Hollywood IP, because they don't want to give any power to Hollywood. It's kind of like Disney saying, no, don't show any X-Men. If we act like it doesn't exist, we'll destroy it. Remember?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's the same
thing. How well did that work for you guys?
So no Barbie, no none of these characters that are famous Hollywood movies that most of these actors are involved with. They're not allowed to.
Hollywood IP.
But it was though. It was recently. Anything that is a movie character, you're not allowed to cover. Now, I have to say,
that's fucking retarded.
I don't know anything about this ugly girl on the left, but that little blonde is cute as shit. Anyway, go ahead.
What are we going ahead for? I'm sorry.
Grimlock was talking about something.
Oh, I'm gonna say like I said, we already know who came up with this.
Oh, of course.
The three guesses again. Another example. Further evidence.
Yeah, Ben Affleck. Yeah, sounds about right. Sounds like a Ben Affleck move.
Yeah, but I mean,
Ben Affleck has the least amount of give a fuck in all of Hollywood. That dude just sits at home.
I think he looks at
his bank account and goes, "Meh, don't care."
That's
the one thing I can respect about Ben.
He got free from his wife. Now he can play with anything he wants. He's got plenty of money. He's got a bat cave, an actual bat cave. I mean, what does Ben Affleck care? But I mean, this is incredibly stupid. It's literally, and the thing in this article, if you go read it, this is from Spencer Bacall. This article is actually showing how many actors are mad at them for doing this. They put this announcement out here because it's like, don't you think you have something more important to do than care about what costumes we wear? You are right, Miss Wokey. You are right. But the actors aren't even happy about this because you're not allowed, because they don't want to give any power to the movie companies.
How are you giving? First of all, how are you giving power? For one,
it's just stupid thinking, dude. They're just dumb.
Yeah, I know. It's emotional speak from an emotional group of people who should not be taken seriously. Shit like that is why I say you have to shut them the fuck up. Because somebody allowed them to say that shit and nobody checked them. Nobody said, do you realize how stupid that is?
Yeah. But as always, guys, Ryan Reynolds comes to the rescue and has the perfect tweet. I love this guy's sense of humor. He does not give a shit. He thinks they're a bunch of idiots, even though he makes lots of money and they can't cancel him. But he always comes out with these comments. It's like, yeah, you're a moron. Go ahead and read it. It's funny.
I look forward to screaming scab at my 8-year-old all night. She's not in the union, but she needs to learn.
Yeah, get him, Ryan. Get him, Ryan. Right? That right there is a dude who's aware. And we've seen him make many comments like this. There are Hollywood people that are willing to stand out and say, this is stupid what you're doing, whatever it may be at the moment. But this is dumb. They literally think they can somehow take power away from the studios that they're negotiating with by not having their actors dress up as some kind of recognizable Hollywood movie character.
That's
wow.
One, that's not how power works. Two, that only shows that shows how insignificant you are to think that you dressing up in a costume would make you otherwise submissive or subservient, because that's key shit for white women. That idea of being
it is a white
submissive
lady
and subservient to somebody.
Well, and the thing with it is, go ahead.
They ironically always equate shit like that to slavery.
Of course they do.
Somehow wearing a fucking Halloween costume for what, 6 hours? Because you're not wearing that shit all day.
No.
So wearing a costume for about 6 hours is going to somehow make you subservient to this evil,
Michael
oppressive
Obama does.
Hollywood studio or corporation or whatever the fuck. Oh, the same Hollywood corporation that just 2 weeks ago had you was negotiating with and was pretty much giving you everything you wanted, but as usual said, "Oh, that's not enough," and you guys fucked it up.
Of course, they always do. But here's the interesting thing, Grimlock. The opposite strategy is true. If you had all of these SAG actors and actresses out there dressing up as their favorite character they played, reminding people of, hey, remember these great movies we did? Look at this character I played, or some other famous character. That would do more for public sympathy, which is what they need, than this nonsense. It's literally the opposite strategy that you should be doing.
Yes.
Well, see, that would make sense. See, you're using logic, and how dare you?
I know.
Because
how dare
especially
I be
especially you being an evil white man and everything.
I am the evil white man.
Only a white supremacist would use logic in an emotional conversation.
Yes. Well, one a big problem, and this is going to be controversial, I'm sure. I really feel a lot of these ladies just need a big dick. I think I need to come to America and solve the issue and give these women proper shaggings, so that they'll be at peace.
Vivid Entertainment presents Chester Busby Fixes Hollywood.
I fix Hollywood. Because they just
Chester Busby, The Cure.
The Cure. The Cure.
The Cure is a picture of his penis.
The Cure. The Cure. Unbelievable. Like I saw this guy who was arguing with some feminist on one of these. You know how the YouTubers, the youngins, they get together in groups and they have these like kind of it's almost like a radio show they do on YouTube, and they have these dudes arguing, these red pills, I guess, arguing with these feminists, these stupid girls. You see a lot of them. And this guy's going on and he says, "What? An 8-inch hammer ain't enough for you?" I thought it was so cute, so quaint. It's just cute little 8-inch hammer. Anyway, but that's we should do that. Chip Busby, The Cure. Anyway, what else I got? This right here is outside of it, but we'll just cover it real quick. Go ahead.
Chuck Dixon's Conan to be developed into RPG sourcebook. Interesting.
This is really Chester's album.
It is. And Chuck, I'm glad that Chuck was able to do more Conan recently. That's cool. Because I do like his Conan. My favorite run was the Dark Horse, though. But was Chuck involved with that at all? I don't think so.
I believe so. Some of it, not all.
He might have been toward the end. I'm not sure.
Because now that it's away from Marvel, there's a lot more Conan to go around, and I think they're re-releasing the Dark Horse stuff in omnibus form now.
So good, dude. I'd buy that. I got to keep my eye for that because that was so good. But anyway, love that Chuck is getting work and doing more Conan. Love it. Absolutely love it. But here's the thing, Chuck. And I'm sure he has nothing to do with this, but a tabletop RPG source book is what they're talking about, has been done many times for Conan. Many times. The last one was several years ago where they had the Kickstarter for Monolith for that beautiful board game, which I own. And they also had a joining campaign for a just stunningly gorgeous RPG that's using the OGL D20 system, and it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful, and you have all those miniatures to play with if you want as well. But I just thought this was interesting. It's like, do we really need another Conan source book? Do we really? We got so many. There was a big popular one in the 80s.
Very, very. It could be good though. We'll see.
It could be. I'm not against it. It's just I don't know. Do we really need it again? I guess the fans will buy what the fans will buy, right? But anyway, so that was a nothing thing I just saw. I thought it was interesting. Good, and congratulations, Chuck. I'm really happy. Dick's out for Dixon, without question. I'm happy to see him doing Conan again, as he should be. And then this is the last one I had for today. Go ahead.
Lord. The Exorcist Believer review, a biblically illiterate disaster.
So they literally, now I know, just wait for it. They have literally wokeified The Exorcist.
Is that the one with the woman complaining about she wasn't a part of the exorcism because of the patriarchy?
Yes. But that is the smallest infringement of logic that happens in this film. They can't focus on Catholicism, you see, because that would be somehow racist. So they brought in all the religions of the world to deal with this. Of course, it's stupid because The Exorcist is a Catholic story. It is Catholic. It's a Catholic, but it's the wokeites. Everyone needs to be involved. Everyone's not Catholic, It's like, what? I mean, it's just so dumb. Now, of course, they wokeified other things recently. They wokeified Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is like, huh?
Why?
Leatherface needs to be wokeified? He's literally just a psychopathic cannibal. I mean, excuse me?
Yeah.
But they do. And and you see the black girl here. They wanted to do it. And originally, they were just going to have the black girl. But they're like, well, yeah, but Regan, because this is their reboot, right? Regan was a white girl. The Exorcist has we have to have a white girl. Let's just do 2. And we'll kill the white girl and keep the black one. She'll live. That's what they did. So they got 2 girls, 2 Regans. They got a white one, which they abolish and destroy, and they got the black one who gets savalated. And it's full of woke progressive nonsense over and over. And it's just like, what are you doing, dude? If you're going to make, well, Grimlock, if I was going to make a movie about Shaka Zulu, right? Horrible, monstrous human being, but whatever. He seems to be culturally curious. People are curious about him. If I was going to make a thing about Shaka Zulu, would I like saying, well, we need to make sure we represent all the cultures, so let's throw an Indian in there and some Chinese and make sure we got some Mexican. We don't need the white people; they're the bad guys. But just imagine taking something from a culture and just twisting it because you think there needs to be your representation, right? Well, this is a Catholic story.
Even without that, like, even if you just like take the woke aspect out of it, from a movie perspective, that makes no fucking sense. You got 2 girls that are being possessed, right? That's the whole point of an exorcism.
Yeah.
And you killed one, but you let the other one live. Are they not?
Well, they have to
equal threat here.
They have to stick to the message, you see. I guess
that's what I'm saying.
Pazuzu is no longer a Catholic demon.
But I'm saying even if you take the woke aspect out of it, that doesn't make a damn bit of sense.
No, it doesn't. I mean, you could have had multiple possessions. You could have done something fun with that. Sure, why not? But the thing that's the most egregious is that they bring in all the other religions, and of course, in the end, the Catholic religion isn't capable of fixing it. Some frickin' Midwestern Navajo Indian religion is the one that solves it, I guess. As if.
Oh boy. Oh boy. That's just dumb.
It is, especially if you understand Native American religions, which I do.
Yes.
That they blame most of the mischief on mankind as being from Coyote himself.
Correct.
Because keep in mind, you wonder, well, Chester, they're on the East Coast too, and they're natives. No, they all came through the Americas, guys. Not too long ago. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Thunder.
The infamous Great Spirit. The idea of taking a simple movie, like a simple premise like The Exorcist, a priest and a young priest go up against a very powerful belligerent demon, basically, and turning it into something where they have to push agenda is just a perfect microcosm of everything, right? It's ridiculous on its face. It doesn't make any sense. The whole reason why it works in the first movie is because everybody just pretty much easily understands what a Catholic priest is, right? They're so ubiquitous to our culture,
Sure.
even in America, that it doesn't take any explaining. It doesn't take a big leap in like cognitive dissonance or a big disconnect or anything. I don't have to. You don't have to ask me to suspend my disbelief because I know what a Catholic priest is.
Sure.
So if you show me one who happens to specialize in exorcism, okay, all that works. It'd be like if you're playing D&D and someone's a paladin. You already know what a paladin is. You don't need much more description than I'm a paladin. Okay, I got you. You know what I'm saying? When you start to add new things in there, new flavor, new twists, you can do that, but you got to really explain why that makes sense.
Yeah.
Why that
Well,
can work. You
you
got to
know,
give it some purpose.
Your example has been wokeified. In modern D&D, the paladin has no alignment. They could be of any alignment. Now, to be fair, we had in the past non-lawful good paladins, but they all had different names. Like, for instance, the neutral good one was called a Illrigger. They were not called paladins because they were not paladins, right?
Correct. Paladins are good boys.
But these days, paladin could be anything they want to be.
Of course,
because and keep in mind, all these movies, right? You were just talking about Hollywood movies and TV shows. Do you know why all of those are Catholic priests, even though America is a Protestant country?
That's a good question. Elucidate me.
Because there were decisions made long ago, because they did do a few things early in cinema, mainly out of France and Germany, which no shocker, that the Christians, the Protestants, didn't take kindly to the display of their religion on screen, and the Jews made a conscious decision just to do Catholics to not piss off the Protestants. That's why all the movies have Catholic priests and or some denomination Catholic and not Protestant at all. Even in movies, you would imagine in areas of a country that you would know there would be some Baptist priest at their house instead of Catholic, but they're Catholic anyway, right?
Well, what's interesting is I actually, because I grew up in church and stuff, and we had a fairly good sized church, especially in this area. We had people come from all over the world, missionaries and evangelists and whatever. They'd come speak at the church, right? And we had a few different people, including the head pastor of my church, who was involved in one, who actually did exorcisms, that was involved in them, and they weren't Catholic at all. They were very much Protestant. I believe they were Baptists, if I remember correctly. So, but yeah, there are people out there of the other denominations of Christianity. I'd imagine there's even Muslim versions of them that do exorcisms into varying degrees of whatever. I'm not here to argue the validity of possession or exorcists or anything, but it's pretty interesting to me that was the thought process, because that actually makes a lot of sense. It's real easy to shit on Catholics, right? People have been doing it for a long, long time, and it's mostly okay. You know what? You don't have to worry about the Catholics coming in beheading you or anything. But because America is so Protestant, the Protestants I wouldn't say militant, but they were much more aggressive when it came to, at least back in the day, especially when it came to defending their precepts and their religion and the honor of their religion and things. Whereas the Catholics have long lost any semblance of that. They don't care. They don't care. They don't care what you say. Because they own, big parts of the world, but we'll leave that alone. But they don't care one way or the other, by and large, what you think
Catholics don't care. It's a bureaucracy anyway. But just to answer your question, though, a Muslim exorcist is called a Raqi.
Raqi, that's a good name.
Yeah. Of course, the word for exorcism would be, I don't know. Let me see. Maybe Rugia, or maybe Al-Azm. Maybe one or the other. I'm not sure specifically. I'm not really up on Muslim exorcism, but it's going to be one of the other words.
The spiritualism of Islam than I do, I'm sure.
Sure.
I don't think they believe demons do possessions. I think
No,
they
Jinn.
they use
The
Jinn.
Jinn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jinn. Yeah, I thought. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's such an interesting concept that they have in
Yeah,
Islam.
a demon can too, but it's much more Jinn based. Because they have the creation of humans, the creation of angels, the creation of demons, and or devils was the word, would be a better translation, and of course the creation of the Jinn. But most of their woes are put upon Jinn more so than a devil.
Right.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, the Jinn. Yeah. But that's a little bit of their paganism that, to take a term, that came into the religion, right?
Yeah. Like Christmas trees.
Yeah. Well, that's super ancient, but yeah, no, exactly, yeah.
Christians. Christians are fun. They're silly people, Chester. They're silly people.
Well, the burning of evergreen during winter is a practice we can take all the way back to Neanderthal.
Yes.
That's pre-human.
Yeah, that's
So,
old. That's
Christmas
a
is
real old religion right there.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying that the Christmas tree and the evergreen in particular is it's older than humans.
Yep.
We got it
Well,
from
it's
someone else.
Ben was talking about. I remember now what I was going to say a long time ago. Ben was talking about how a lot of short-sightedness on history is one of the reasons why we have these conflicts
True.
today, and why we have very confused people. And I was thinking, people have been making war in that part of the world, and really every part of the world, since before Jewish people existed.
Oh yeah.
Since before there
Way
was
before.
any group of people you would ever call Hebrew or Semitic, that before that all even was a thing, people were making war against each other. So
True. Yeah.
there
Now,
will
the Middle
always,
East
we
is a
will
history of
always
war.
find
That's true.
we will always find a reason to kill each other. It's
The rest of
it's
us.
the one thing we're really good at, in fact, is killing each other.
But there is a difference though. The rest of us take breaks for a few centuries here or there, occasionally.
Like to chill out, have some beer.
Yeah,
cool
they
off.
don't. They
Yeah.
don't. Yeah,
I think
not at all.
they don't have beer. That's what I'm going with.
Yeah, maybe
No beer.
a little bit of alcohol and they chill out. Maybe that's why they hate the Jews, because they drink wine.
Oh, that could be it.
Could be
See, it's right back to
So you're
food
saying,
every time.
so you're
It's right back to
saying
food.
we're just a Palestinian brewery away from peace.
Listen, it might have
So
made
why
the
not
Irish.
somebody give them a goddamn beer recipe? Fuck it.
Yeah, well, let's throw it in there. It might have made the Irish fight each other a lot, but they stopped trying to fight anybody else. So when they invented whiskey, so maybe there's some truth to this.
We can open a brewery, and in 5 years we'll turn Hamas from a terrorist group to an IPA, and we'll have peace.
Well, you know the funny thing with that is the modern alcohol that we call beer, of course, has a very long history. It's coming out of a Roman drink. But you know where it was perfected?
Tell me, Egypt,
Ireland,
Constantinople.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So most of all that beer you're drinking these days is coming out of the Muslim lands, right? Pre-Muslim. But then again, the Germans took it and perfected it. I don't know why the rest of you are drinking that stupid ass, disgusting blonde beer. I mean, honestly, throw it back to Turkey, let them have it, and start drinking proper beer.
Yeah. I don't drink beer, period. But if I was going to, it'd be a nice dark one. I wouldn't be drinking none of that light shit. Get out of here.
The one time this guy wants something dark in his life. Listen to
Hey, listen.
Hey, my wife's darker skinned.
That's true.
Yeah. No.
I couldn't help it. That was
Chester, most people with some form of gout are darker skinned than you. Like you're a great white ape, is what I'm saying to you.
Yeah. No, I carry on the Cro-Magnon tradition quite happily. Yeah.
So you're telling me you could jump back about 60,000 years to find a Cro-Mag family and just hang out and be fine, is what you're saying.
We would look. You wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
Well, we already seen his philosophies on things, so yeah, he could go back in time and immediately fit in, because they're gonna go push rock, and he's like, yes, push rock.
Push rock. Yeah, absolutely, push rock. Push rock is a good idea. It is interesting how these countries can push around Israel, though. Just because I got to end it up, I got to go to work. But and it's because the politicians in Israel always back down, and I really hope they don't this time. I really hope they just push through and get it done. And in all honesty, it might well be time. If Iran wants to keep flapping their mouth, well, let's see. Let's go. Because if you pull the Americans into it, you see, the Americans are a whole nother thing. And this is why you don't see, we got 9/11, of course we do. But look how many people died because of that, right? The Americans are very, very, very simple. You kill one of ours, we kill 10,000 of yours.
Yeah.
That's our thinking. We do not play around. We went into Iraq. How many people we killed there? And they didn't even attack us.
Millions.
10 million. 10 million dead, right? And neither did Afghanistan. None of those people were from Afghanistan. They were all from Saudi Arabia, right?
Yeah, which they keep trying to brush under the rug.
Right. But I'm just saying, Americans, we are the world's biggest bullies, without question. Our government is, and we'll go in and fuck you up for the smallest thing. You try to not buy oil and dollars, watch out. American military is coming. But it's like all these countries mouthing off Yemen, we're going to join the war, Iran, we will attack America bases. Please do. Please do. Because even the dumbass Democrats in charge will be just like on the frickin' warpath for your ass.
Let's get the party started.
Let's just drop a flood of Marines on them and see how they like it.
Well, Chester, I don't know if you've seen the Marines lately.
No.
They might like it a lot.
The core, maybe. The core Marine is a devastating weapon, dude.
Yeah, if there's any left, all of them got pushed out because of the damn COVID jab.
Well, no, because as soon as they put it out, they'll drop the draft, and as soon as they do, we'll have them all come back. And I think a draft would be good for America right now, to be honest with you. I know that's a weird thing to say, but I really do. Take all these young'uns, particularly, and the women too. They want to be part of it. Let them have a taste. Take all these youngins, put them through military training, drop them in the Middle East. We will get back to unity pretty quick. Pretty quick.
Or civil war, and I'm down with either.
Either way, but I'm just saying that I really hope that Israel stays the course this time, and it does feel different because the politicians are still politicking. They're Netanyahu and all those guys still doing their bullshit. But the Israelis are pissed, and they should be, right? They're sick and tired of it because they've bent over backwards to try to fix the bullshit that Britain caused, and no one's talking about this, right? Because once again, yes, the Zionists were involved in it. Yes, they were, but they're still in Europe. These people, the majority of these Israelis are either the ancestors of people who were just dropped there from Europe out of the concentration camps. Have you noticed how many of the old ladies they took were concentration camp survivors? You notice there's like 3 of them, right? Because that's where they put them. And the Americans who ended up coming over a generation later or something like that. That's who the people in Israel are. They're not these mega rich Zionists that are trying to do their ESG and their global warming and stuff. It's not them. It's just people that were taken out of a horrible war, a war-torn situation, and dropped into another war-torn situation. And the entire history of the Middle East, the Levant in particular, is for the past 100 years, is the Israeli Jews giving compensation to people who want to kill them in hopes that they will stop wanting to kill them. It has not worked. It never was going to work. And you're left in a situation where the entire look at what happened. All these dead people in Israel, horribly killed. Does any of these Muslim nations saying anything like that outside of Saudi Arabia, who did say, yeah, kill the Jew bad, but that's pretty much, that's a bit much, Hamas. Saudi Arabia is the only one that said that, by the way. But all these other countries, they don't care about any of the efforts that the Israelis have done over the years. All the compensations, land given back, money paid out. The Israelis have no obligation to Gaza whatsoever, but yet they supply water, they supply electricity, they offer what it was like 50, 70,000 Gaza people a day were coming into Israel to work. right? They have no obligation to this whatsoever, but yet the world seems to think they do. And it's like, why? Why can't they go to Egypt? Because Egypt doesn't want their dumbasses. Why can't the Judeans go into Syria or Lebanon or into Jordan? Because they don't want their dumbasses. The frickin' the king of Jordan, his entire reign has been fighting fucking Palestinians. In his street, they want him dead and want to take over and preach the caliphate, right? I mean, this is the shit that's been going on a long time. And keep in mind, every time you see these kids, and not the adults, them too, but I'm talking about these kids in the street. You see these Palestinian kids all the time, and they're chanting various different sentences, but there always has Hamas in there. Keep in mind, they're not using the word Hamas as in the group Hamas. They're using it as the word Hamas, which means fervent violence. This is what's going on. The Israelis need to keep to their guns and see this through and fuck what Biden says, fuck what everybody else says, and get this shit done. If the rest of the Middle East wants to get involved, well, let's get it on then. Let's do it once and for all, and shoot any politician in America who stands up and says, "Well, let's talk a little bit about ceasefire." Put a bullet in their fucking head. Just let it go.
Ow, he's sounding like me.
Let it go. No, I'm serious. Because look at
this. On that position. Put bullets in the heads of politicians.
I'm just saying. I mean, don't let them get involved. Because look at Lebanon. They're on their feet. I mean, they're on their knees. Their economy is completely shattered. They don't even have a leadership. The Lebanese government came and said, "We don't have any control of Hezbollah. We don't want trouble." Okay. Syria, they're completely shattered. Right? Jordan doesn't want any part of it. The Egyptians don't want any part of this shit. They got a lot of their own problems. The Yemenis have been getting their ass absolutely wiped out by the Saudi Arabians, but now all of a sudden they care about Palestine? The only country, and you go to other Muslim countries that aren't even making noise, like Pakistan is in a complete civil war situation, right? But the only country that's really being really noisy is Iran. Their government. But here's an interesting little thing, and I'll shut up and let these guys say what they want to say before we go. The other day, there was a soccer game in Tehran. Or no, it wasn't in Tehran, but it was in Iran. And the commentator came on and says, "We're going to have a moment of silence for the victims of the evil Israelis in Palestine." So a moment of silence for the Palestinians. Do you know what the crowd did? This Iranian crowd, do you know what they did?
Yelled like a motherfucker.
They yelled and screamed and booed for 5 minutes. So here's the thing. The government of Iran is bullshit, just like the American government and the British government and the German government and every government on this planet are bullshit. But the people are sick of it. The Iranian people don't want any part of it. I've met a lot of Iranians in my life. They're actually quite pleasant, nice people. Yeah, they don't want any of this shit, dude. They want to live peaceful and happy, and they're economically, the Iranians are doing pretty well. They don't want this nonsense. Yeah. They're sick of it. Everyone is sick of it. We're sick of the progressives. We're sick of the jihadis because they're all the same. They're the same cloth. They're the same coin. They're not even a different side of the coin. It's the same thing. They all want you dead.
Yes, Islam means submission. That's what it means.
It does. It means to submit to God.
Yeah. I do find it fascinating how very quickly these sorts of things, these sorts of moods are changing all over the world. So you're talking about all this Jew hatred.
Oh my God, dude! Wow.
You know what that actually is, though? It's either misguided people like the dumb white women walking down the street with the signs, or it's people, some of it's legitimate, but I would say probably a majority of it are just people who are mad at the system and they think that they're the ones who have the reins of the system or the system benefits them or whatever. And that is where you're seeing, so even in Iran, which is interesting, even there, the people are mad. There is an anger in the world. It's probably not in Japan because Japan's Japan.
Well, they're
but
confused.
Everywhere else,
they're like, why exactly you do what you do? I don't. It's confusing. Go ahead.
Everywhere else, Chester, there is this anger that is just bubbling all over the world right now.
Yeah.
And I genuinely believe that if we do have a World War III, a true one, it's not going to be what people think. It's not going to be Russia and China versus
No, it's going to be civil war.
launching things. It's going to be civil war everywhere all at once because the people are tired of it.
Yeah.
And we all are. We're all tired of the BS. Look at my cute wife. I'm not tired of my cute wife.
Okay, back on target. Bullets, politicians' head. Okay.
Anyway, I genuinely think that's what's gonna happen. Is we're gonna have civil war everywhere. That'll be World War III, and there will be very little anything that the system, as we call it, can do about it. They'll basically just be crushed under the foot of a rabid groups of people all over the world with different agendas.
Right.
And we'll see a mass sorting back to a more standard what's the word I'm looking for? More standard field, more standard what's the theaters of power. We'll see a return to that. And we're already seeing it.
Asians will sort
very
it out,
quickly.
I guess.
Yeah, the whole world will go back to something not necessarily pre-World War II, but similar to pre-World War II. And I don't think there's much that's going to change that. I think that's inevitable at this point. The conflicts are coming. People are too angry. They're furiously angry, and there's nothing anyone can do about it at this point. I genuinely don't think it's avoidable.
Yeah.
It'll really just depend on if America, because whether we like it or not, and I know a lot of us don't, the world hinges on what America does.
It does.
And if America collapses into itself, which it seems destined to do if somebody doesn't get in there and fix the system, then that worldwide civil war is inevitable.
Yeah, it's possible. And like I said, I really do hope the Israelis stick to the guns, but I have a feeling their politicians are just going to cop out again. Yeah, it's probably the truth. Anyway, Grimlock, what you got to say, man?
With you on the killing politicians. I think that's been long overdue. They have long forgotten that they are the servants, the public servants of the public. They have gotten way too comfortable in doing things in pursuit of enriching themselves and enriching their friends or people with similar interests.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been, and for too long, people not just here, but like as you said, around the world are suffering for it, and they are getting fed up with it. It's people are, especially with all this COVID nonsense. There's still a lot of denial here in the western side, but in the east, where they seem there's more blunt and direct about things. They're not trying to deal with too much more bullshit from their governments, and it's coming to a head. We're all seeing it. The Hamas things, the
Ukraine,
like you said, Ukraine, the Chinese economy, Taiwan, Hong Kong, the many struggles going on in the Middle African nations.
Oh my God, yeah.
It's coming to a head. People are getting tired, but also because of the way the world is today, where people have more resources and access to resources than we used to have, it's getting harder and harder for these governments to just pull the bullshit of years past. I would say that'd be the nicest way to say it. To where knowing that the people had only so much that they could do in retaliation. As I said before, I think most places, 10,000 armed people are all you need, and there's not a government that can handle that.
No,
not one.
That's true. That is true.
And
revolution. We'll see.
Maybe we would all like to not see it come to that, but it looks like the way things are going, the way that not just with these, these policies with, foreigners. Hell, just the economy is going to drive some people to start picking up their guns and saying something's got to be done here.
Yeah, there's a lot of nonsense. It's so much deeper. It's hard to cover it. Just the rampant, vandalism and theft in American cities.
Yeah.
They tried that. They saw what was going on in America, and we got a bunch of these people that tried to start doing that in European cities, and they got.
Yeah.
Yeah, they ain't playing that game. But there's a lot of trouble.
One statistic is really all you need to understand what we're talking about here. In the last 3 years, Chester, the world's reserve currency, the United States dollar, has lost 25% of its purchasing power.
Yep.
In 3 years.
Yep.
That's hyperinflation. They're not going to call it that. That's what it is.
It is hyperinflation.
That cannot hold. That cannot. That it just can't stand. Simple as not because I say so, because the universe says so.
Mm-hmm.
The laws of this reality that we live in will crush us for this, and it's coming. And when that happens, we'll see what goes on after that. But the other thing I wanted to say, and this can be our namaste moment, something everybody should learn. I learned from my mother. She learned from her mother. I'm assuming she learned it from her mother. It is the wisest phrase I've ever heard, and it's very simple. If you won't listen, you gotta feel.
Yeah. Namaste. Later, everybody.